let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh. Magic, no, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh, you take me higher, ooh, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, ooh, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, ooh, you take me higher, baby, you take me higher, yeah, you take me higher, baby.
Welcome to Saturday Night Vibe and Radical Truth to Power. For the first time in one night, we're combining the shows because both of them are progressive news that just don't give a damn. I know I change it up every time. Sorry. I am your host, Marlon, along with Theus, along with Anna Hart. Tracy Carson is on the way in.
Hello.
Hello. Today, we're just going to go through all of the Supreme Court decisions, and I tried to put it in order of when it came out. Some good, then the bad ones kind of erase the good ones. So, yeah. With the last change, sort of having a twist. I'm reading some news. Is on the good side, but it's not vetted out, so to speak. It's not in its completion, it's bits and pieces of it, but it's pushing towards a good side thing. So I just learned about it a few minutes ago, and it's really fresh. And let me just say this, that Biden may not be as incompetent as we think he is. Now, he done said
I didn't think it was.
Nobody is, well,
not incompetent. More. Let me. I'll rephrase that. I'll completely rephrase that. I never thought Biden was incompetent. More like he's so old school.
Just say it because he's old. Just say it.
No, he's old school as crap. Now you ain't gonna lie and say Biden is not old school.
Oh, he ain't my
every
kind of old
decision that
school. He
dude
just
make
old.
is from the 70s and 80s decision making process.
No,
Yeah.
no. This guy makes decisions based on current to an extent. Like for someone who's anchored in that old conservative way, a lot of the stuff he's rolled out though have been because he's got advisors that are leading him more current. I think.
So this is the same, but remember, this is the same guy. They asked him, "Do you want to add more Supreme Court justices?" And he said, "No, because that'll be just too much politicizing, and it needs to stop with me." And I'm like, I get what you said, but you do understand that you're stopping at the point where they're in control, the conservatives. So they politicize it, and you want to stop it before it gets more politicized while they have the power. So it's like, I get you, but the timing is not good right now, dude. I get what you're saying. Because I had the same feeling like I would like to do the same thing, but where is it going to stop? Because you're going to do it.
What do you mean, Nick? The Supreme Court thing?
Yeah. Adding Supreme Court
I
justice.
mean,
because where did the numbers
it's all about how you do it.
Yeah. I don't know where it would stop at. That's my
If
problem.
you watch What If Theus ran for Congress, you'd understand that there's a way to do this without it completely changing the entire system.
Okay. Well, plugging Theus is when Theus runs for Congress.
I mean, just saying, you know.
It's this.
He's a forward thinking type person. Just let you know, he's a forward thinking type person. Parker is in the House. Just want to point out that 5 of the current 9 justices on the court, Alito, Roberts, Gorsuch, and whatever that dude's name is, and Bennett,
Kavanaugh
and Bennett are appointed by the president who didn't even win the popular vote when they got elected. And like I said, Tracy is on the way. Parker said good.
But
Mickey is in the house.
Hey, Mickey.
Hold on, let me get through these.
Hold
on, let me get through.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Marlon, probably had a lot of work to do getting all these clips. There was so much happening. I started on them, and then 2 more decisions came down, so it wasn't that hard. But hey, you know, Susan, 2 nights in a row. Yeah. Hey, Susan. And Mickey's coming back. Being old is no excuse. Bernie is old, but he's not living in the 40s, the 1840s. I don't think anybody was saying that it was an age thing. I'm just saying that when you've been doing this for so long, for so many years, you know, you have a certain mindset, whether it's the Senate, the Congress, or president. You have a set of.
I feel you. I just think that people are just committed to being anti. So it doesn't matter what it is. That if Biden does it, they're against it. If Trump does it, they're against it. And I think that compromises your position when you act like that, because that means there's no real basis to how you're approaching things, right? You're being an absolutist. And if you can't concede when someone you don't agree with has a good point, you can't really move a debate anywhere.
No, you really can't. And I don't even hold debates with people if you're determined to, yeah, but what about? I mean, it's almost like a backwards, because I'm agreeing with you, but you know, when we was talking about Obama and all the things that he did, yeah, but what about? Like, so yeah, you agree that was good, but you go straight towards everything that's bad. And apparently everything that's bad really makes you not like the person. So Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't dislike Biden. I'm not a fan of Biden, right? But it's like if someone does something that benefits you and you're not, like on the opposite side, right? I mean, you call yourself a left on the left. Where's the harm in saying that this was something that the person did good, and here are all the things that I still disagree with, right? Because when I look at Biden's record, I can point at things that did not get done during his administration, his first term,
Yeah.
and I can point at his lack of use of the bully pulpit, right? But when I stop and I look at what is it that a president can do, and I'm not saying just from my idealized version of what a president can do, literally look at every president that we've had, all of them, and then look at how our government is structured to function, who has what authorities, and then ask yourself, what is he supposed to do different? And if he did do this different, would it give you the result that you say you want? And what I've almost every time come up against is people don't really have an answer to that. They don't want to think it that far through because they want to just hold on to their emotional or principled grounding. And so you get to the point where they may engage for 2 seconds, and then after that, it's like, well, I just don't agree.
I would rather you just jump to, you just don't like the guy. I mean, I would respect you a lot more if you just say you don't like the guy instead of going through all this rigmarole. And I'm going to tell you the truth why people think that. Because they really think in their heart of hearts that the president has absolute power or more power than we think. So if he decides to do something, hey, it gets done. Well, folks, let me explain something to you. We just had a president not too long ago who thought he had absolute power. Blink his eyes and declassify papers, that he could take as many boxes home as he possibly can. We've had a president who thought that he had a power. The latest one is that he told somebody that he had a standing order that he can declassify documents.
Yeah, anything he took home was automatically declassified. He had a standing order for it, and yet he constantly contradicts himself.
Yeah.
But the thing is, not to get lost in those particular weeds, but really, if you really kind of get at some of the people who have these different views, they don't like Trump because Trump is against their ideal. Trump is in opposition to the way they feel things should be done. But they would be just fine having their own Trump. You see, they would be just fine having an absolutist as long as they agree with that absolutist. And what I'm saying to those people is that makes you the equivalent to a Trump supporter. You just have different policy ideals, but you have the exact same behavior set where you want someone who's going to take no prisoners, say it like it is, do what has to be done, consequences be damned. Well, that is Trump. That's Trump. You just want your own version. You don't care what happens to the other side. You just want to win, which makes you, to me, that makes you just as dangerous as the Trump people.
Wow. I'm looking around for the camera because I have been having that exact conversation with a friend.
There have been 13 districts for a number of years. There should be 13 justices. It's only fair and logical. Biden caved on his very first raise the minimum wage. Parliamentarian said no, and Biden caved, which I to this day still don't know who the hell those people are.
Once again, that has to be passed through Congress, but I agree with you that he didn't advocate.
It did
because I don't think he wants it.
You know, when the
He
Republicans
didn't veto that
disagree,
bill.
No, I said it did
Right,
pass through
right.
Congress.
If it passed through Congress, it would have came to his desk.
Oh, you're including the Senate. I'm like, no, it didn't pass in the Senate.
So I'm saying, like, but I don't think he wants it though. He's a corporatist. I don't think he wanted it. But you know, that would have been him behaving where I thought he would behave. Like, to me, Biden was never my candidate. I didn't want this guy. I still don't want this guy. So what I'm saying is I'm not grading on a curve here. I'm saying this is what I expected from him. And somehow he still managed to deliver that, right? He still did more than I expected from him because I didn't expect much from him, right? But people are grading on these weird curves where he was not your candidate. You did not want this guy. You do not agree with this guy. And then you still say he hasn't done anything when in fact he's done more than you ever expected him to do.
So let's
So it's
go
like,
vote for him.
look, I'm going to tell you right now.
I mean,
When
I would love to
Biden-
have that particular discussion, but I don't
When
want to monopolize
Biden
it. But
when
yeah, let's
Biden
walk down
said
that
we're
path.
going to get back to the status quo, that's exactly what I thought we was going to get back to, the status quo.
Right.
Now, you're going to say that he haven't done absolutely positively nothing since being in office. I don't know. Now, Tracy, to answer your question, does that mean you need to vote for him? Hell, it depends on who's on the other side.
See, I disagree with that argument, but
I'm
that's
not going
okay.
to sit here and just sit there and go, no, because when you say that, Tracy, you're saying no matter what he does,
No.
I'm not going to vote for him.
I mean, I give him credit for the little things that he did, but there's still too many things that I'm like, nah, I ain't with that.
But was it him or was it Congress?
Well, I'll give you some examples of things that he could executive order, not to go through the Congress.
We really got to stop it. We're like 17 minutes into the show and we ain't seen not name video. And
wow, I thought this was supposed to be the serious discussion, Marlon.
It is, and we're finna get into the serious discussions.
Oh, okay.
It ain't like
All
I'm
right,
finna go, okay, y'all, we finna stop, so I'm finna go to real one now. We're just gonna transition over to other serious discussions. Tracy, I will come back to you before the end of this show so you can finish.
Then I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say.
Then go write it down.
Like I got a pen somewhere.
In your whole house, you ain't got one pen.
The time that you are now using to debate with her about not having a writing utensil, she could have said.
I'm finna say it. Let's get this party started. So, like I said, I tried to do my best to put these in order as they came out or as I heard them. I may be completely wrong. But let's go ahead and get into the Supreme Court decision on the Alabama's mapping.
Pardon me.
The Supreme Court has issued a key ruling on voting rights, finding Alabama's election map violates the Voting Rights Act. The ruling is considered a huge win for the act and Section 2, which protects against racial discrimination in voting. 27% of Alabama's electorate is black, but the Republican-led legislature drew only one majority black district out of the state's 7. Now the court is ordering officials to draw a second majority black district. Let's bring in senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer, along with ABC News legal contributor Asha Rangappa for more. Devin, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh sided with the liberal majority in this case. How significant is that?
A very significant case and a very significant breakdown, Diane, and this goes far beyond Alabama. This is a major rejuvenation of a landmark voting rights law passed in 1965 meant to prevent racial discrimination in voting nationwide. The ripple effects from this will be significant. They will be sweeping. In this case, though, Alabama Republican legislature had drawn election maps after the 2020 census, and as you said, they only created one majority black district. That was challenged in court Court. And today the Supreme Court said that map with one majority black district, you see it there with a state with 27% of voters being black people, is a violation of the Voting Rights Act. It's discriminatory. It dilutes black voting power in that it limits their ability to choose a candidate that they would prefer in that state. And effectively, it means they'll now have to go back to the drawing board, draw a second map. That means perhaps a second black Democrat in Congress down the line. It will change how voters go to the polls in Alabama, but it will also now mean that the Voting Rights Act will remain a key protection for other challenges nationwide as people start to press back against what they see as racial gerrymandering in how we conduct elections.
Asha, what does this mean for the 2024 election and the electoral process moving forward?
Well, Diane, it means that maps can continue to be challenged under the same criteria that has been in place for the last 37 years under court precedent. What the court said is we're not changing the rules that we've had in place. We're keeping the law as is. The lower court got it right. We're not going to adopt this new novel approach, which would not take into effect discriminatory effects of the map. And this is pretty significant because we do have a court that is trying to move in a completely race-blind direction. I will note, though, Diane, that this map, which they have determined is illegal, was actually allowed to be put into effect in the midterms in 2022. And similar maps also that will probably be illegal under the court's decision today were allowed to go into effect. So in many ways, the impact is more retrospective in terms of what has already happened rather than prospective, which will allow things to remain the same.
All right, Devin, Asha, I have so many more questions, but I'm out of time. Thank you both.
So the only thing that popped in my head is literally two things. First of all, thank you for at least trying to control legalized gerrymandering. But what damage has already been done with the 2022 midterm election? You already put the mapping thing in effect, so to speak. You already got the local people, your local state people that you wanted, that you was trying to go. So I don't know. I literally want to see what the new map look like before I say this is good, because yeah, you can't put them all in one big all the black people in one big corner and go, hey, there you go. But I want to see what the new map looks like before I say that this is good news. And I want to see, when do it go into effect? Will it please be done before 2024? Or are you going to wait till the 2024 election is over and then go, okay, you're right, we need to go ahead and change this? So there's my thoughts on it.
I think this is, I got so many feelings about this. We live in a country where black people have to have our voting rights renewed every 25 years. We've had several presidents and nobody has thought to make our voting rights permanent. We're just all sitting here and just waiting every, 25 years? This whole thing is ridiculous. Gerrymandering is ridiculous. What do people expect the Republicans to do? I'm kind of just tired of it. I want, whether it's a Democrat, independent, because there's no way I probably ever vote Republican. Somebody just proposed that voters' rights be permanent, and let's just get this whole stupid, silly discussion over with. That's the main thing that needs to happen. I know that doesn't have anything to do with what they're, well, it kind of does. Kind of does have something to do with it, but it's just frustrating. The Voters' Rights Act was last recertified in what, it had to be the 90s. Or was it
I think George W. Bush was the last one to do it.
Yeah, he was the last one that did it. So that means we gotta wait. We gotta do this all over again. I'm just like, come on, this has to stop. We need permanent. Stop going through this every 25. Stop it. Stop doing it. It don't make sense. Either we're citizens or we're not citizens. And if we're not citizens, stop taking my tax money. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think people want the answer to your question, Tracy. Um, but to okay, so I feel that the decision is good.
Oh, it's a good
Anything
decision.
that
This is
no, because Marlon was saying he's not sure how he really feels until he sees how it rolls out, which I get that sentiment, but just on the merits of
on its basis,
this
it's
is
a good idea.
this is still good because although like okay, so one of the problems with our broken system, we call it broken. I think it's whatever, but one of the problems with this system is you have to challenge things through the courts, but you can put things in place until the courts overturn them. So, like what Marlon was getting at, the damage was done for 2022 because they knew we can go ahead and do this, and then if it's overturned, ah shucks, we already got the wins that we wanted
Yep.
though. Where this is still though a very valuable thing is while it can't do anything for 2022, um, it Alabama is already a rough place for black rights anyway. Okay, so at least with this particular decision, that then impacts visibility across the nation for the rest of the Old South that is still trying to get some of these things in place. So that's one benefit. Then also, it will help with 2024. So that's another benefit. Now, the new map that comes out is going to be jacked up too. It's just going to be they follow the rules better, but they still are going to find a way to manufacture a very similar outcome. Uh, so yeah, so I'm with you, Marlon. I agree with you. It's just that other part where I would say it's still very valuable what did occur in that particular respect.
Okay. You got anything, Anna? No. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, I think this was the one. Okay. So this ruling, as dumb as this was, this ruling was actually came up during the Trump era. Um, they made such a big deal about this rule, I should say, this rule that pretty much basically was saying that since the state legislatures are responsible for the voting that happens in their state, then they should have complete and other power over it. Such as, yeah, even though the voters did vote for candidate A, we feel as state legislators that we should give our votes to candidate B because we should have the power to do that.
Because
I'm
we're
trying
elected officials
because
too.
we're elected. I'm just trying to put it in basic layman terms. Basically, to make it even to simplify it even more, they want to have the state legislators wants to have the power to decide where the votes go in their state. Period. Point blank. That was pretty much it. We have the power. It could be a landslide from that state. Oh well. We feel that this county was in bad faith when they voted the way they voted. We feel like there was some fraud in this county. We can't prove it in time. So we just decided we're just not going to, and I'm not lying. We just decided we're just not going to count their votes until we have a investigation. So we're not even going to count that county's votes.
The magic of states' rights.
Yeah. So here is the Supreme Court decision on that.
a major ruling yesterday from the Supreme Court, which made it more difficult for the big lie to repeat itself in 2024. The case, Moore versus Harper, based out of North Carolina, centered on a radical theory known as the independent state legislature theory. It would have given state legislatures virtually unchecked power over federal elections based on an extreme interpretation of the Constitution's elections clause. In a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court rejected that anti-democratic theory, with Chief Justice John Roberts and Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett siding with the liberals. In his opinion, the Chief Justice writes, "The Elections Clause does not insulate state legislatures from the ordinary exercise of state judicial review," adding that the legislatures, the framers recognized, are the mere creatures of the state constitutions and cannot be greater than their creators. John Eastman, a legal advisor to Donald Trump, embraced this fringe theory as a way to overturn the 2020 election, arguing that then Vice President Mike Pence had the power to refuse to certify the results. In an email exchange with NBC News, Eastman claimed the ruling would prevent legislatures from addressing illegality and fraud in a timely manner. When asked if the ruling invalidates the arguments he made in 2020, Eastman wrote, quote, "No, but it will be murkier than it was previously." Joining us now to delve deeper into this ruling, senior legal affairs reporter at Politico, Josh Gerstein. Josh, talk about, if you could, what was at stake?
Well, this is pretty significant, Mika, on two different fronts. One, the one you just mentioned involving the 2024 presidential race and the possibility that you could have seen Republicans, specifically former President Trump, put forward this kind of effort to put state legislatures on steroids, you might say, to say that they could be the ultimate arbiter of who won an election in their state. And that obviously could have led to post-election chaos. That is the plan that the Trump team tried to start to run in 2020, but basically got cut off at the pass. And the Supreme Court, through the reasoning of its ruling, makes it seem like that's a lot less likely here. The second front, of course, is the issue of control of the U.S. House of Representatives. And this decision seemed to shift the ground in favor of Democrats in the overall way in which the redistricting is held to set up the districts.
I forgot to add this little caveat, and then I'll open it up to everybody. Any issues with the mapping, gerrymandering, state voting rights, and everything else, you could take your issues to a judge and have a judge decide on it. That, what he was saying was, it was taking that away. Like, you can't even go to a judge to look this over. It was just flat out, we said it, it is what it is. A judge said that you was wrong. Judge doesn't have more power than the legislator. We made that decision. This was so cringy at its best, because I know everybody's thinking of the president. And you should be. Not getting you wrong, you should be. But just think about it. They could do this to the governor of their state. They could be the state legislator forever. Hell, at some point, they can will their seat in the state legislature to their sons and daughters, because they have all power. They could be there for as long as they want to. And they can decide who stays and who goes. That was really creepy. It's really creepy. I appreciate the Supreme Court putting a stop to this, because just that mindset of a group of guys and girls deciding, hey, we decide what's going on in this state, and the conversation is done. See y'all next week.
But you do realize that that has been the way for the vast majority of the nation's existence, right? Like what
Exactly.
you're basing your normalcy off of is actually quite abnormal in the way that America operates. So to me, the decision came out, on the better side of it, I suppose. But this was a Supreme Court protecting the judiciary more than it
Yep.
was the Supreme Court protecting voters, right? The voters just got the benefit, but the Supreme Court was really protecting the judiciary. They don't like having someone take away their authority or their power, and this would make it so state courts no longer have the ability to oversee, the behaviors of the legislature. And then, like one of your points you raised about, how they could just pick somebody here in Georgia, they pretty much made that law, right? Um, so I really want people to not just look at it as far as what's happening today, but look at it in terms of the tapestry of America. And to me, what it's saying, all these decisions on so many different levels, is how do we recreate the infrastructure for the America that existed before all of these different groups had voices,
Yep.
right? So they're just picking and choosing as they kind of work their way through.
All right, Tracy done went to church with the church
It's
family.
hot in here. I don't want to turn on the air conditioner because then I won't be able to hear.
But go ahead, Tracy.
Everything Thea said. I mean, this country is just messed up. You get a bunch of Republicans, and it's normal. I mean, I guess it could happen in a blue state, supposedly, where they just get power and don't want it. But basically, this is what happens when people don't vote. We have a huge majority of the country that just sits at home, and then you get these radical nitwits that just want to say, you know what, doesn't matter. We don't like who you pick. We want to pick this guy instead of this guy, and people are okay with it. It's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating.
Anna?
I don't really have too much to add, and I am really trying to take in all of the rulings. It is difficult to classify a ruling as good or bad. I don't know. I need to read over a lot more than what I've heard.
All right.
But one thing I would say is I'm going to disagree with Tracy in order to agree with Tracy.
Mm.
No, seriously. So where I disagree is more on an art, not a substance thing, where she's saying this is, people don't vote. My pushback when I hear that particular criticism is people are voting. People are voting in amazing numbers in the last few elections, mainly because they're polarized elections. It's true, but they're voting. It's the jacked up corruption in the two parties, corruption in the DNC and their Republican counterpart, the way that the Senate, well, the Senate is about the fairest thing we got. I'm sorry. The House, where gerrymandering is just what it is, the Electoral College, which favors small states over populated states, right? So many things are messed up in it. So where I disagree is I don't blame it on people not voting. Where I do agree is everything is so jacked up. Like, I can understand why a person would say to me, That's why I don't vote for nobody. I don't even play in it. I can understand why they say it, and then it's on me to take the time to explain how you can go for small wins, how you can organize and plan to get bigger wins, how to get the things you want. That's a 20, 30-year process. That's not a one election kind of thing. So here's how we reverse engineer. Like, I can have those conversations with a person who says that. But they don't make it easy. Like, I think we said this before in previous videos. I'm not a Democrat. I mean, I have to vote Democrat because of the way my state is set up, which feeds back into the jacked up mess where we deal with. But I'm very much an independent because my politics are black, right? So black, working class, and vulnerable groups. Those is like how, if you're gonna put me in a bubble. So that's where I moved from. But it's just disheartening. And like I try to say, Democrats, give us something to work with, right? I mean, help make it easier for us to advocate for people to vote for you. Because, like it or not, this is where I'm way opposed to a lot of the way how the third party people are functioning right now, because they're in like this make believe land. But the reality is, we got two choices. It shouldn't be that way. It should be much broader, but it's not. So we got this jacked up system. So you really got two ways to play it. Well, three ways. You can vote, not vote, or I don't know. But Democrats don't make it easy, man. Right?
Nope.
Democrats are so lazy. They don't come out and say with their chest out. They don't say it with their chest. Here's what we're going to work on. Here's what we're fighting for. We're going to make all the noise that we can make. We're not going to let off of it. We're not. They don't do that. They speak up for a second and then they go quiet. Whereas Republicans
constantly.
Constant.
Yeah.
Yep, you gotta give them they do. They do know how to speak.
And this is, and I'm gonna do the same thing Theus just did. I'm gonna disagree slightly, and trust me, brother, when I tell you it's so slightly, it is nitpicking.
I'm good, brother.
It's nitpicking. Democrats will speak a huge game. Huge, fantastic, marvelous, great speeches, backwards and forwards. About 6 months before the elections.
Yes.
You got another 90 days. I'll just put it that. You got a good 90 days after the election. And then nothing. Nothing. You couldn't shut a Democrat candidate up 6 months before the election. Get out of my emails, get out of my YouTube, just leave me alone. You couldn't shut them up. But boy, after them 90 days, after the election is over with. Are y'all here?
Yeah, that's my point.
Y'all still working? What happened?
They don't make it easy because, I mean, I try to be a straight shooter here. The Democrats are corrupt. The Republicans are ideologues and zealots, right? They're straight up dangerous in my view. Not just because from my black perspective, this is how they're dangerous. I mean, they're dangerous to black people, queer people, indigenous people. The only people who are not in danger by these people right now, because they'll get you later, would be the larger Asian community. That's it. But they'll come for you next because you got the money. You're the one taking their power. So they're going to come for you next. But right now they're going to deal with us because we're easier. So it's like, you got two bad choices, which is why I hear you, third-party people. I hear you. I'm just saying you still have to function in the world that we're in. So how do we all get together to make your way feasible? That's a different discussion. But my goodness, Biden.
I'll say this.
What's going on with Schumer?
Here's what I'll say.
Go ahead,
I didn't
Tracy. I'm
even
sorry.
know what a parliamentarian was until this administration. Never heard of it. Didn't know what it was. I was like, what are y'all talking about? What?
They popped their head up in they popped their head up with Obama
I'm talking
and
about.
Trump.
I didn't hear about it. I didn't. I
Oh,
guess I wasn't paying attention or something. Like, oh, who?
The first time I heard
and
about it was during Trump when he wanted something.
he fired them.
And, yeah,
And you can do that. And that
he
I
fired
think
one
that's
of
what.
them, and he fired one of them and replaced him with somebody who would agree with him and got exactly what he wanted.
That's what Mickey's
but it was
talking about.
Congress that did that, though.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? That's why we got to blame the right people.
Ooh.
Yep, they sure did. If it wasn't for Andrew Yang, Bernie would not have been on that ballot in New York. Wouldn't have been. They definitely tried
Right.
to be. Oh, and this time, I just love how they gaslight democracy. I did a whole video on it. You might want to catch it. But I'm sick. I'm sick of the Democratic Party gaslight. You don't believe in democracy, which we don't have a democracy, but that's a whole different discussion. You don't have a democracy when you don't have debates. That's all I'm going to say. If you can't even have a debate to defend your record, something wrong with you. Something real wrong with you. That means your record isn't as good as you think it is.
Well, I don't think that's not the issue. The problem is, like I said about the corruption piece, right? The Democrats play this the same way every election. I think Obama might be like a hiccup to them. I don't know.
They've always had debates.
But they always controlled them, right? So when it was Obama's re-election, he did not have to sit there and debate a bunch of people. He didn't have to, right?
I don't think they were just as blasé fair. Like they're straight up come like, no, it won't be a debate.
No, they do it every time. With an incumbent president, they clear the field. Both parties do it. When you have an incumbent president, the party structure is you don't run against our person in this election. Y'all wait your turn. When it's time for a changing of the guard, doors are open. So with this is actually following true to form for them. My objection though is if you're gonna go out there and debate, these are words, right? It's not like you're gonna run out of words. So if you can't defend yourself as an incumbent in your primary,
exactly,
what are you afraid of?
That's the
now.
question.
Maybe you're not afraid, right? Maybe you're not afraid. Maybe you're just lazy. But the problem with that is your laziness and you're playing it safe.
It gives you good
places
practice
us
for
in
what
danger.
Trump is going to do. Because let's face it, Trump is going to be the nominee. None of the others have any chance. Trump is the nominee. You gonna tell me you're gonna take a year and a half break? Just be like, okay, and then I'll wait. Nah. If not for just the practice of debating, just to get yourself into it.
Well, he can get practice. He can get practice anyway because we're all political junkies, right? So we've watched plenty of debates. They're a clown show. They don't ever get into any real issues. No. It's all about sound bites. It's all about some weird emotional play. So there's really no benefit to them being in a debate, period, unless you're gonna have a debate, which we don't do that anymore, except for like the state level, right? Or sometimes the vice president might have to actually have a real conversation with their opponent. But for the most part, it's just a smoke and mirrors display, right?
I mean, they're all terrible.
I'm just saying, not even just from terrible, it's literally theatrics. Like they don't get into any policy discussions because if they speak on policy, two things will happen. One, us, the political junkies and the people who paid attention are going to hold them accountable and hang them out to dry for every word they said in that debate. So that's a negative outcome. They don't want that. Or two, their opponent is going to chop and screw everything they said, and it'll just be a bad cycle. There's no upside.
In my opinion, that's a very bad look. If I'm defending my record, bring them. Bring on Marianne, RFK, bring them. Any place, anytime.
But wait a minute.
All right, I love what you just said. Think about it, though.
let me say this. I get exactly what you're saying. I really do. I totally agree with you. But you're talking about the good old debates of old. This right now is no more than
I'm talking
TV show episodes.
I'm talking about stop gaslighting. You say you're for democracy
But
and you
that's my
can't hold a
deal,
debate.
though.
But that's what
They
people
will
want.
stop gaslighting when the gaslighting doesn't work anymore. But since the gaslighting is still working, why would you stop doing what works? It doesn't make any sense to stop doing what works.
It's a bad look. It's a
But
terrible bad
It is.
no, it's not. Not to their base.
Oh
Not to
yeah,
who
because
they
y'all
talking
vote blue.
to.
I mean, people who gonna
No,
vote
it's a
Democrat are gonna
bad
vote.
look. It's a bad look for the theory of democracy. It's a bad look for the theory of how government should work. But it makes perfect sense for the realities of the moment. If I enjoy talking, so I would do it
I
if
was
my
like, yeah,
advisors
sign
would
me
let
up.
me.
Where you at? Where you
But
want to
for
debate
the
at? The
most
park,
part,
the dark, or anywhere.
there's no upside though, Tracy. There's none.
That means he's
No
gonna
upside.
take off a whole year. He's gonna look. See, this 2 or
Yes.
3. That's not
We
gonna
get more
work.
policy talk out of any town halls.
Nope. None
You
of
can
those.
so town halls, you can get a little bit of something because they take questions. But the problem is they've already decided what questions get
The
thrown.
questions are great, and
Um,
that's the
Right.
media's fault. Part of this is the media's
right.
fault because they get these corporate. They're not gonna get somebody like me to ask the questions because it's gonna go all the way left. They're never gonna. Not that I'm a journalist, but they're not
Exactly.
gonna get somebody like me to ask the question because I'm gonna be like, why is the minimum wage $20? Why?
Well, they'll spend you an answer for that.
And they'll
The
tell you
problem is they won't answer it though,
they're not going to answer that
right?
And then
question.
I'll be
What
like, could
they'll
you
do,
answer the question and
No,
don't give me
no, no,
some?
Tracy. No,
but
you
you don't
won't.
get a follow up.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, you won't.
I know, and it's purposely set up for that
I'm
way.
just
I
telling
don't
you.
like the debates. Don't get me wrong. I
You
hate the
got one.
debates
You
because they
got one
never do
question. They're
anything.
gonna give you something about why we don't have $20, and they're gonna tell you something about Daffy Duck and them and Disney and the Little
And
Mermaid
I'm be like,
and
my
everything else
question
other than
was
answer your question. Your mic is turned off, and they don't walk away to go to somebody else that's gonna say, "Why you like the color
no,
blue
because
more than
usually in a
red?"
debate there's 1 or 2 moderators. There's one
Oh,
or
One of
two.
the rules
okay. Let
about
me
politics.
rephrase what I'm saying. Then I thought you were talking about people in the audience. Sorry.
Oh no, they just
Oh,
shut
I'm
them out.
sorry.
They not allowed
Tracy,
to ask questions.
they will never ever pick you as a moderator.
No, I know. They would never.
They would not. They
Period.
absolutely.
But
I
what I was
know
going to
that.
say is, remember, in politics, you don't answer the question you are asked. You answer the question that you wanted to be asked.
Yeah, that you want to
Right?
answer.
That's
Mm.
rule number 1. Right? So if you go out there and you say, "Tell me what is your position on the minimum wage being at $15," and then they'll say, the American worker is struggling right now, trying to make ends meet. And we have to make sure we work to get inflation down.
Yeah, some answer ain't
That
got nothing to
Obama
do
or
with what I
Biden,
just said.
right? But
Trust
you
me.
don't get to follow up,
And
right?
that's the
So
way.
Yeah.
That's the corporate. That's why I said it's partial. Some part of this
it's
is
not
the
even.
corporate media's fault
It
because
is. It's the corporate thing, but
it's a
it's also
combination.
our fault.
Yeah,
It's
because
our fault. If we stop watching them and the ratings
Which I
plummeted,
am.
the national media will be like, "Wait a minute, we're not making money. All right, so we're going to ask different questions." Right?
I'll put it
We
to you this.
also are to blame here.
I'll put it
I
to you this
I
way.
can
From
see that
this
point.
point on, I don't watch debates. I
You
watch.
want to watch where old girl said that's why we don't take Scott anywhere because he's polling at 0%, and then Scott turned around and said, "No, I'm polling at 1%."
And you know where I got that from? A YouTube clip.
Got that from
That's
you.
pretty much what I'm going to do from this point on. I am no longer going to sit there. Nah,
Yeah,
we
because
got to
they
move. We
lying
got to
when they
move on
sit
because
there
we're
and
going to get
talk.
over.
But
Because we're
yeah, my
already going to go
favorite,
over.
my least, the favorite debate, and I'll say this, and I'll shut up. Well, probably won't. But anyway, I didn't like the Georgia debate where Herschel Walker didn't show up and Warnock just completely ignored like he's standing right there. Why don't you address that guy? You see him? It's like just
Yeah, I
okay.
watched that debate.
Oh my gosh!
But he didn't do it because there was no political upside to doing it. That man on that stage with him was dangerous. So I'd rather just ignore you. You ain't got no, like Trump said, you're polling at 3%. Why am I going to talk to you?
But he was standing right there. At least acknowledge him. Be like, hey, the
That's
libertarian's
like
right there. I'm
y'all
not
people
going to
who,
trust
all
him.
y'all out there talking about this Marianne Williamson stuff. It's the same thing. Look at what they did to her.
She's polling
Really,
at
because
6%.
I don't care nothing. I don't care nothing about the lady, so I can look at it a little bit more dispassionately. This lady threw her hat in the ring. She is a bona fide politician. I don't know how credible she is because to me she's a little out there, but she deserves to be taken seriously because she's been in the game and she comes out consistently and she has a platform. But what did they do? They pretty much ignored her and played her as something crazy the moment she announced.
Yep.
And then to make matters worse, though, the moment RFK, a real crazy person, puts his hat in the ring,
let's support
he
this.
is he's clearly a Manchurian candidate for the right. That's all he is. He's there to just create chaos and mayhem. And the media said, hey, that's a man over there. Let's listen to him.
Yeah.
So he gets a lot more play than
I'm
Marianne
for Medicare
ever
for
got.
all in theory, but I don't think it's going to happen. Boy, either you're for it or against it.
Man, I ain't even trying to hear him on that level. That man is loony. That's a dangerous man.
All right, everybody, we really got to stop because we're already going to go over. So making it whatever. Whatever. Making an executive decision of saying that we are going to go over in the first hour because I really do think these things are important. We do not have a show tomorrow. Tracy will have a show tomorrow. So about pizza brands.
Pizza chains. I'm
Pizza
ranking
chains.
them.
Ranking the pizza chains. So I'm going to go over the first hour. Do not want to rush through these things because I really want these things to be flushed out. So Theas, before you even come in here and say I'll keep my talk short and everything. No, one, you're not. Two, Tracy already lied and said I'm going to say this and shut up. No.
And then I said, oh no, I won't.
No, you won't. You said it quickly and kept your promise.
And it's not Tracy's fault. I keep baiting her, and then we go back and forth for a little while. So blame me, everybody.
Hey, Tracy, I did blame you. Hey,
okay,
Tracy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Okay. Anyway, next subject for everybody keeps saying, if you just keep talking, then we would have been on. The next subject, I had to investigate this a little more because it was confusing. So I'm going to play the video, and if anybody's confused about the ruling for the website designer, I think I understand what they're saying. It's still BS, but I think I understand what they're saying.
Let me bring in Kelly O'Donnell, our senior White House correspondent, into this conversation. When you talk about, of course, the political ramifications of not just this decision standing on its own, but in light of the decision, the watershed decision yesterday on affirmative action, Kelly.
Well, certainly I would expect from the White House they will note today's date, June 30th, the final day of Pride Month, and that this decision coming at that time is particularly painful to the LGBTQ community because of what the concerns are about how this could be employed in other states, how it could be interpreted, and at a time when support for gay marriage is at the highest that it has been, a ruling like this brings about a lot of concern about how this will impact the everyday lives of gay Americans. Tapping into your conversation with Laura, I was in the courtroom for the oral arguments last fall for this case, and one of the things that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson talked about is if we're talking about the creative creative expression of the person who does not want to provide this service. She gave the example of those sort of old-style photographs where people are in costumes. And she said, what if the person who was the photographer, the artist there, wanted it to only be white people in that photo when they're wearing costumes, like the sort of the old Wild West or something like that? Could you sell that? And Justice Thomas was talking about the fact that this is about public accommodation. It's different than a hotel where you must serve all people, can't discriminate against anyone based on their status, or a restaurant. And that distinction you've been talking about, what is the creative message behind this website that Lori Smith wants to be able to provide? And how will that be different? And a lot of discussion about, is a save the date message on a website the property of the couple getting married, or is it somehow a creative expression of the person doing it? And Justice Sotomayor writes that this is discrimination based on message, not status. So there are a lot of concerns about what this will mean for larger implications. And so often with a case like this, it's looking at very specific circumstances, the free speech argument, the artist involved, dealing with what is public accommodation under our laws. But the implications are so much broader and certainly will be perceived by many Americans who won't know the specifics of what was argued in this case and what really brought about this clear ruling from the court, 6-3. We would expect that the White House would want to comment about this and to try to find other ways to be supportive of the LGBTQ community. And certainly when it comes to the issue of free expression, First Amendment rights are among the most sacred, and certainly we got that impression listening to the arguments in court, and at the same time trying to make certain that there is no discrimination against persons who are different in any way or are in a minority status. So this case will have long implications, Savannah.
So here is my understanding of it, because that was a big. I wanted to play the video because we do have people who want great detail, and then we have people that go, "Can you put your answer into like 30 words or less?" So I'm gonna do the 30 words or less thing. The whole mentality of it was the website. A gay couple wanted a website designer to do a website for them. I'm sorry, you shaking your head?
No, I was just saying because there was no gay couple in this scenario. It was purely a hypothetical.
Oh,
She ain't built no websites for anybody. This was all in preparation of the eventuality that. So basically, not to override what you're saying, but I was just saying there's no.
Oh, you're literally going to have to override it because I thought this crap happened.
Yeah. No, there's no damages here. So there's an outside right conservative think tank that is trying to get the right cases in front of a sympathetic Supreme Court. So this is one of the ones they manufactured. So this is a lady that they found that they put forward to say, I want to design websites, but I can't because if I go into business, you'll force me to do this. So it's all if, then, what if, right? So that's not normally how the Supreme Court works. Supreme Court, in order for it to get to them, there's real damages. Someone has to have real standing. But the Supreme Court has the ability to pick and choose what they listen to. So this was purely off of a hypothetical. And it works in tandem with another hypothetical, which was how something was going on with the education piece where they found some students manufactured a case for them to, that's how you got a lot of issues with the 14th Amendment protections and all these other things that are being pushed against right now. So we're literally dealing with artificial constructs. It's wild.
So let me. Boy. Good gracious!
Can I move to
Thank
Cuba?
You so damn
Who's
much
gonna buy my house so I can move to Cuba? Who? Where they at?
And, okay, let me go ahead and get this out of my system because now you just done pissed me off. Because I don't like my time wasted, man. Stop wasting. Do not waste my time. So the whole concept of it is a restaurant cannot discriminate against minorities. A department store, blah blah blah, everything else. This ruling only goes into effect if it is a creator
or a private contractor.
Because of the
right?
artistic piece. Yeah.
Yeah, you are a creator of a website. You are a creator, wink, wink, of a cake. You can make the decision as a creator who you do and do not want to work with. Now, here's the deal. I don't see a damn difference. And I'm sorry, I work in a industry where that decisions have always been made, and they never flat out said because you're gay, because you're black, because you're a woman, because you're 4'11". They always come up with another reason.
Yep.
But you kind of know what the reason is.
Right. That's what this is about, Marlon.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is they want to be able to be clear as to why they don't want to do something, right? So the current public accommodations, here's one of my gripes. We had to fight for public accommodations. We had to fight for the right to marry. We had to fight for the right for voting. Everybody profits and benefits off of our struggle more than even we do.
Thank you.
14th Amendment was put in place for us to be able to have our rights so that we could go to school and not be discriminated against. But it's being used by other groups against us, right? So that annoys me, and I know it's a separate topic, but it just really bothers me. But in this particular case, yeah, they want the ability to openly discriminate, but they want it so that you can't call it discrimination.
Yep.
We want it to be our choice.
Yeah.
I just
and that's where they are.
Yeah, I just got one question for these right-wing groups. What happens in their little theory if you go to a place and they practice Islam and they say, you know what, we don't want to serve Christians? What are they going to do then? Are they going to bring another court case to overlap that one?
They will claim persecution of being a Christian because they already make up that. Even though Christians are not persecuted anywhere in the West, they may be a little bit in some Muslim countries, but they're not persecuted in the least bit in America.
No.
But that's what they would do. They would pretend that they're being persecuted.
They have a way of they would take I don't like Christians as we're persecuting them. We ain't laid a hand on them. We ain't took you to court. We ain't burned down your house. We ain't burn a cross in your yard. We done nothing. Excuse me. We haven't done nothing to you. But the fact that the I came out of my mouth and said, I'm an atheist, or I just don't like your religion. Clutch pearls.
No,
you're a prophet. Oh my God.
No, I gotta disagree with you because in their minds, they're okay with discriminating against other religions. They're perfectly fine with restricting other religions. You just better not restrict theirs.
No, that's
exactly.
No, that's it. Remember, even though it has been documented that this country was not founded on Christianity.
And people will say that. And
they will still say this country was founded on Christianity. We got an idiot running around here talking about that Jesus was in the United States this whole time. Hey, your fetus may be in Jesus. All the arguments they have used. So, you can't say nothing against them. If you say something against them, they're getting prosecuted.
Yeah, they're okay with money going to religious schools as long as it's their religion. They're okay.
Right. Because this is nothing, none of this is about Christianity.
No.
None of it is.
None of this has anything to do with Christianity. This has nothing to do with religion. All of this is power.
It doesn't even have anything
and
to do
control.
with religion. It's a power structure.
Yeah,
they can tell you
it's power. Women, it's power and control. They're using Christianity, the most popular religion in this country, for that. So how do you
Yes.
keep your power and control? Is you keep other religions from getting to your level of power and control. So yes, I'm going
Mark,
to say that you prosecuting me because you're taking money out of my bank, because people may open their eyes and see that our religion may not be the right religion. So I will prosecute you as much as I possibly can. And I do mean that wholeheartedly. The whole cuss you out, burn your house, burn the cross in your yard thing. I literally mean prosecute. Trust me. But don't you dare say nothing about our religion.
You can't even
but
have
that's
oh, sorry, go ahead, Theus.
no. Go ahead, Tracy, please.
I was gonna say you can't even, and this is what frustrates me. I can't even have a basic general conversation with the average Christian about separation of church and state. They say, "Oh, it doesn't exist." Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
It absolutely does.
You
It's
you
like
ignore.
what are you listening to? Well, such and such said no, such and such, no. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Um, Compel and convict and condemn are two. They're separate, and I wish we would get the difference. I wish we would understand what the difference is and give people the freedom, because that's what they have. If you want to live in a theocracy, that's what they call it. Go live in Iran or Iraq or one of them. Stop that. We live in a multi-theistic country where we practice many religions. If you don't like it, guess what you can do? You can do just what you've been telling me. Leave. That's what you've been telling me. Or I should go to Africa. Back to Africa. Like, okay, which country? And I'm going to leave that alone.
Well, I love what you just said, Tracy. You're 100% dead on, and I agree with you. You know, it's all about the power thing. And Marlon, I'm sorry, what I'm about to say is probably going to get you flagged or something.
Then don't say it,
You
because I
look
don't want to get flagged or something. Why would you say that?
fine. I'll leave that point out. There's another nation on this planet that operates very much like America, except where they support an apartheid system for the original indigenous population of the area. But because they chose to create their own nation on top of indigenous lands, they openly oppress and suppress, murder, and control the people who don't agree with them and don't share their particular religion. Now, I'm not going to say who it is, but I will say it is someone that America spends a lot of money supporting. Now,
Ain't that the truth?
the
You can
now
also find them
in
in the
that
Bible if you read it. But I'm just saying.
in that in that hypothetical nation that I'm referencing, they have two sides of a coin. They have a political system and they have a religious system. But what they do is they take their political system and they hide it behind a religious shroud so that they can then say, if you criticize our politics, you are criticizing our religion. And here in America, the same thing is being done. If you criticize the Christian nationalist, if you criticize the white nationalist, if you criticize the hyper conservative, if you criticize the Trumpists and the MAGA, they will say you are criticizing Christianity because they put Christianity on top of it like a shroud, but they do not support or uphold the ideals of that very same religion. Jesus does not appear in any aspect of the behaviors of the people who claim the faith constantly in these political arenas. It's just not there. Now, they can cite a lot of stuff from the Old Testament, but that right there betrays their motivation. The fact that they will invoke God, but they are very, very timid about invoking Jesus because they want you to focus on old when it's convenient, new when it's beneficial to them. So Tracy nailed it. It is all about power. And the same thing goes for democracy. Democracy was okay because we never had it. If you look at America, there has never truly been a democracy in America. We're prior to the last 2 or 3 years, we are in the closest version of democracy America has ever experienced. And with that expansion of actual democracy, the ruling classes realized they were suffering an erosion of power, an erosion of influence. So now democracy doesn't work for them anymore. So
Nope.
they'll find something else. And right now test, they're testing out. It's like a beta test. Or maybe we'll go with fascism, or maybe we'll go with an oligarchy. Or they're just spitballing right now. They don't know where they're going to land. They just know that democracy ain't
Didn't
working
work
for
out. Yeah, it didn't work quite the way we thought. Dang. We got to start all over.
All right, y'all, let's get on to the next one here. The two latest ones, the two biggest ones, the two last ones. Supreme Court ruling against affirmative action.
Julia, what do we know at this point?
Well, that's right. Affirmative action has been blocked both for private and public colleges. This is in the UNC case and in the Harvard case. We thought there may be a split where they might say that it's unconstitutional for public universities taking public money, but perhaps not for private. But they've said in both cases, college admissions cannot consider race as they try to diversify their student bodies. Now, this is overturning a 2003 opinion by then Justice Sotomayor, who said at that time, we hope in 25 years we won't have to look at race as a consideration in college, but that's just not the makeup of our country right now. Well, it's been 20 years, and these justices have said that the court, according to this opinion today, that they think that race should no longer be a consideration as colleges try to diversify. Going back to oral arguments, we heard then from Chief Justice Roberts saying, look, he basically saw it as being more racist in violation of Title 14 to look at race in considering who should be admitted to college. Harvard tried to argue this is just like trying to get an oboe player on our orchestra. We would look out for oboe players just like we would look at race and trying to diversify our student body. At the time, Chief Justice Roberts said no, because we didn't have a civil war over oboe players and we did over race. This will, of course, have historic impacts going forward as colleges try to diversify their student bodies, looking at other things like geographical factors, poverty, any adversity that students have overcome, but they can no longer look at race. It's something that's already happening in 8 states across the country. For example, in the public education system, the public system in California, they cannot look at race there. A lot of colleges have said it's been increasingly hard to keep their student bodies racially diverse. Hard to underestimate how big of a decision this is coming from the Supreme Court today. It may not be surprising given the composition of the court, but it will have long and lasting impacts on how colleges around the country diversify their student bodies without looking at race as a factor.
Somebody else go first, because my view is probably going to be a little controversial.
I think mine is too.
Mine is too. So
I'll say this: affirmative action never benefited Black people. I don't know where this whole argument came from that it was just benefiting Black people, because it hasn't. If you look at affirmative action, it's only basically benefited white women. That's who it has benefited. It hasn't benefited me. So to see it gone, okay, oh well. This court just makes up rules. They just make them up. If they don't like it, we'll just make up some rule. How do you say, well, we didn't have a thing for OB players, we fought over race? Yes, and they're trying to diversify their campuses. So you're okay with it. This is just so frustrating to me that one of the chief justices, one of the few that benefited from affirmative action, rules against affirmative action. Really? So it's okay when it was used for you, but now that you've gotten where you've gotten, you're going to just take that ladder away and just make everybody work. But again, affirmative action never benefited black people. So to see it gone, I never knew it was here in the first place. I mean, I heard about it. I mean, of course I heard about it, but I mean, if you look at, and I'm making a whole bunch of points and they're not making sense, but if you look at the amount of black students in those colleges, it's like 10%, maybe 10% is high. And
Yes, between 4 and 7.
You know, yeah, like 10 was way too high, thank you. So you're not doing a good job of making your campuses diversified in the first place. And the fact that they had another student, and this is what people look out for, and here comes the controversial part. They used one student of color to say that another was being favored. And if you look at how that all set up, that's the concerning part to me, is they didn't bring it in the, hey, let's get this white person and say discrimination. No, we're going to get another person of color, have them go up against another person of color. And so what I hope doesn't happen is that you have just black people enraged against the Asian community, because we don't need that at all. But my larger point is, what makes the courts think that somebody isn't going to take this too far? What if I start a school and I say, you know what? If you don't have type 1 diabetes, you can't come to this school. Do I get to say, and then there's somebody who has type 2 say, well, she's discriminating against people with type 2? They're setting these things up, one, because they're racist, two, because the Federalist Society has done a really good job of packing the courts. Three, why don't we have an odd number of justices anyway? And four, we need term limits on these Supreme Court justices. Why are they in there for a lifetime? I don't even understand that. I'm not going to say we should get to vote for them, but they should have a term limit, at least 10 years. Be like, okay, your 10 years is up, go. And those are all my scattered points.
Go ahead,
So,
you already know
all right, so
what my thought was.
Couple quick things. So this particular challenge, it seems like it came out of nowhere, but it has been presented over and over and over again since affirmative action even became a thing in around 1968, 1970. So, and the ones pushing against it for at least 30 of those years has been members of the Asian community. So first, I want to make sure you don't take your eye off the fact that the Asian community is not operating in a friendly position to us. See, basically, the way affirmative action was kind of happening, let's say hypothetically, there were 10 seats at the table to go to Harvard, and white people get 6 of those seats. So there's only 4 up for grabs. So then 2 of those seats are automatically going to go to those who are legacy. So now you've accounted for 8 of the seats, which kind of means 8 of the seats are kind of held by white people anyway. But there's 2 seats left, and those 2 seats were basically apportioned out for restorative justice purposes under affirmative action, so that African Americans would have the ability to compete for those 2 slots. You still have to be abundantly qualified to go to the school, right? But these 2 seats were set aside out of restorative justice. But the Asian community, who has always had to fight with white people to get positions in these things, saw, well, here's 2 seats, and we can't even compete for these 2 seats, and we're being kind of elbowed out because the reality is white America doesn't want them in their schools to too much of a degree, because the Asian community, and it's specific Asian communities, okay, there's Japanese, Chinese, and like maybe 2 other nations that overwhelmingly represent those who are getting in these spots. the vast majority of the Asian community is not being favored in these positions, these things. They just kind of get lumped in because it's easier to say Asian. But they've been fighting to take away the 2 seats that we have. So they're not operating as our friends here, but they are trying to operate out of their self-interest, which you can't really blame them for when we talk about politics. So they're trying to fight the way that they can fight. We were the easier one to pick off. And so that's what happened, in there. One of the things, Tracy, you touched on when you said it never benefited Black people. I have to disagree. And the reason why is because before affirmative action, right? So after they murdered Dr. King, got voting rights legislation, blah, 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 we were still all in service roles. We didn't have very many opportunities. Affirmative action, in a way, kind of cracked the door. And when they put that stuff in there, now you had the explosion of the Black middle class, where I'm going to just make up a number. 30% of the Black population was able to squeeze through that crack, and they were able to integrate the military. They were able to get government jobs. They were able to go to college. They were able to do a lot of things that we were not able to do prior to affirmative action in any level of like real numbers. So that 30% got through the door. I'm a beneficiary of that, right? My parents were one of those ones who got through that crack. And so we lived the middle class experience where 60% of our people do not. Okay. And the other 10%, for those doing the math, they always had what they had. There's always Black folks who have been sitting in there. They got their money, they got their positions, they got all that stuff. Everybody ain't poor, people. But that's the math there. But you're 100% right, Tracy, in that it was put in place as a portion, a very threadbare, half-assed portion of restorative justice for African Americans. But it was immediately leveraged for women and other minorities. So we got crowded out of our own. Well, some Black women benefited, but you're Black before you're a woman in America's eyes. So you still sitting there with us, right? So that's why I didn't separate it out. I did that on purpose, because personally, I'm tired of Black women always trying to separate themselves from Black men, and Black men trying to separate themselves from Black women, because America sees that you're Black before they see anything else. We can't afford to be fighting against ourselves for meager rations when we need to be fighting for a larger spread together. So that's why I intentionally kind of did it that way. But that's where all this stuff is like coming in. So on the one hand, they struck down affirmative action. Let's just be real. It was always supposed to be a temporary thing. It always was going to go out similar to how they did Reconstruction, right? Great idea. Restorative justice. Well, I mean, slavery was like 300 years. We did this Reconstruction thing for like 20 years. Isn't that enough? All right. White backlash. We go into Jim Crow and all that stuff. Affirmative action. Well, affirmative action for like 30 years. Isn't that enough?
Yeah, we've
now
done
they're trying
enough.
to shut the door. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody would start a restaurant chain and then say, you know what, we're not going to serve Black people. It literally wouldn't shock me. And
but
then they
here's
take
where
it to this court and they be like, well, yeah, that's their restaurant. Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah, and it feeds off of what we were just talking about with what's happened with the LGBTQIA community, where it's trying to allow new ways to discriminate without it being called discrimination. So all this stuff is working together. These aren't one-offs. They're just finding who's the best target to patch this stuff all together. But here's my controversial point. I advocate for social and cultural separation anyway. So if they want to sit there and say you can't go to Harvard, I would really love for us to double down going to Howard. When they say that you can't go to North Carolina, Chapel Hill, I would really love for us to double down and go to North Carolina A&T. See, I would love for us to say, you know what, you reject us, but it's okay because we reject you too. You don't want us in your schools. We already have schools that pump out education and skills equal to or greater to what you have.
Oh
We've
no,
gotten to the
yeah.
point where we built some of these.
Only problem I have with your problem is 300%. Don't you see the black schools? They discriminated against me because I'm white. Look at this atrocity.
They will. But here's where that won't happen though. They'll try it, it won't work. And the reason why it won't work is because there is no more inclusive group on this planet than the African American.
Yeah, we including like,
So-
okay, we're like, oh, you want to be a part of it? Okay, here we go.
Thank you. So we might, if we could get to the point where we're like, you know what, you're discriminating against our athletes, you're discriminating against our scholars, you're discriminating against our community. Fine, we're going to take all of our young talent and we're going to send it to our schools where you're telling us to go anyway, right? Because you say don't go to your school, you're saying go to our school. So then we're going to shift and we're going to go there. Now all your sports are going to be white and Asian. You put a college football team on that ain't got nothing but white and Asian football players on it. And then all the black players and the Latino players and the Samoan players are over here playing at HBCUs. Where you think that money gonna go?
Yes.
All right. So, and everybody can go to HBCU.
Yep, they sure can.
We don't have no problem with that.
We do not discriminate, unlike some
Everybody
sectors
can
of
go.
our population. But
We got white AKAs and white Kappas. We don't mind. We don't want to be you. We want the freedom to be us.
Exactly.
And that means you can come be you here too. Just leave that bullshit over there. So personally, it's like it's a mixed bag, right? You know, I feel for the people who won't be able to take the pathway that affirmative action does create, because I don't like when any doors are getting closed to opportunity. But I would love to think that this is an opportunity for us to become engaged and double down on options that better serve us on a more intentional basis.
All right, Anna, do you have anything before I get to my controversial take?
I agree with a lot of what's been said, so go right ahead, Marlon.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into my controversial take. You really didn't eliminate affirmative action. And I've felt this way for a long time now. So you didn't eliminate affirmative action. You eliminated tokenism. Affirmative action to me for many of the years have been nothing but a quota that any white industry, job, college, university, whatever, could just say, oh, we already have our minority, so sorry, we can't hire you. It's just a quota. It's just the best companies and the best universities out there pick the best quota. But that's all it still is you are a quota. We have lived up to what our responsibility was. You wanted us to put a minority in here, we have a minority in here.
And we ain't putting no more.
And you can leave us alone now till we have to replace that minority. So Tracy, I would disagree with you on that fact that it didn't help the Black community. But sister, what I tell you, I must so slightly disagree with you. Again, it's nitpicking. All they really did was they picked the best of the best. They picked the best.
They scavenged our best talent out and siphoned them out.
And then when they pick us, then they don't pay us equal to what our white counterparts get. Oh, don't start me. Oh, don't start none. Don't start none because I'll start it. I'll start it up in here. Yeah, you picked a black person, but are they getting paid the same?
About this as mad about this
I'm-
as who other people are. I'm just not. If you look at the body of affirmative action, it helped 0.0001% of what it was supposed to be doing.
But I have to caution, for every one of the few who made it through that little door, each of those people, those were real benefits.
Yeah, we're
Those are
not. Yeah.
still your black
Yeah.
scholars. Those are your black politicians. Those are your black business owners. Those are your black educators. So it did help. You can't.
Those are our black Supreme Court justices who
Yep.
agreed to
That's
eliminate this.
that's one dude. But what I'm saying is, he is a problem, and he ain't alone. There's more of them out there. But
Candace Owens, thank you for using.
right, well, Candace, I was about to say something I really can't say. But my point
He's trying to get us kicked off YouTube.
He really trying to get us kicked off this doggone station.
What I'm saying though is, affirmative action did not operate as well as it should have, but it was intentionally designed not to.
Right.
So, but the benefits that did occur for us, even though they did not happen at the rate that they should have, I'm cautioning against the messaging that it was all bad, so who cares? That messaging is really bad, because this is just the boulder coming down the hill. There's going to rip up a lot more stuff as it goes. And it's hard to get our people engaged on much of any damn thing. So, look,
this
it did good stuff, folks. This is a big deal.
This is what I'm pushing back on, and this is what I'm trying to tell my people, our people. The conversation that me and you had last night. Stop taking crumbs and thinking it's the glory land.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. When affirmative action came out, we should have been all over that saying, okay, great, this is not enough and we need more. We need more for it. What did we do when affirmative action came out? They see us now.
Didn't know.
And we left it at that for damn near years. No. And I'm telling you this, hold on, let me finish.
I disagree with your assessment.
Because I promise you, we have been in this country for so damn long. I promise you that something will replace this. And I guarantee you it's going
to. How you say that?
Let me finish. I'll tell you.
Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I mean, it was a shocking statement.
It is. I'm a shocking person. Something will replace this, but it will be another crumb, because that's what they give us, and we don't fight back. We don't say give us more or what we should accept or what this should be of. Nope, we'll just let it go and go, we got something.
Something better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing and everything else. And if you don't believe me, I just did a whole damn show about it. I gave you 2 examples of some great things that the Supreme Court did. And then what did they do?
Pulled that rug so fast.
Hey, you're
but
happy?
The things that the Supreme Court,
fuck up your existence from this point on.
The things that the Supreme Court did, they did for their own preservation, not ours. We gotta be careful how we splice these conversations. So yes, they did a few things, but they weren't about us. They weren't about black people. They weren't about queer people. They weren't about regular working class people. It was about protecting the judiciary. They didn't have any problem breaking down the Voters' Rights Act. So it's really important that as we tell the story, we splice it in as accurately as we can, because when you say they take this, but they'll give something else later. No, that is not how history works. It's not how this history has worked. Everything we've gotten, we had to fight to get those crumbs. There was a fight for every last crumb. Now, we should be fighting not for a crumb. We should not be fighting for a slice. We should not be fighting for a loaf. We should be fighting to own the bakery. We should be fighting to be able to be the captains of our destiny. And that's what we fight for. We fight for the big, and then what happens is the concession is the bullshit, right? But that bullshit was still more than you had. I'm not saying be happy with the bullshit. I'm saying acknowledge the bullshit was more than you had, and keep fighting for what you're supposed to get. But my question to people, my challenge to us is, if you want more, it will require more. It will require more effort, more danger, more risk. If you're not willing to up the ante on what level of effort you're going to put in, then you will see that alternate part, right?
Right.
So
that's true.
don't dismiss the crumbs, because there are people who paid with their blood for us to have those crumbs. My challenge, though, is if we want that bakery or if we just want a loaf, are we ready to do the things it's going to take, as long as it takes, to get it? And right now, I don't think we are. So we get crumbs.
Because we've been
Maybe.
conditioned. We've really been conditioned, and that's by both parties. Well, we gave you a black president. What else you? Huh?
Yeah, you gave us Hip Hop Month.
This is true, but that's why it's important for us to always remember that politics is just one tool in the toolbox.
One, but it's a major
It's
one,
just
especially since they're passing laws and drawing maps.
Yes.
How you gonna draw a map? You just gonna draw the black people. Oh no, you don't live
there. Right.
Huh? What?
So politics is warfare without bloodshed.
Yeah.
Okay. Politics is avoiding physical damage to affect change. That means it's built on compromises, it's slow, it's just right? And then whoever controls the process controls most of the outcome. So it's just one tool.
Right.
The other tool, though, is, are you ready for open revolution and rebellion? Another tool is, are you willing to separate economically and socially so that they feel it in their pocketbook? Because you mess with somebody's money, they react a lot faster than they do if you mess with them in the polls.
I mean, that's what the civil rights era did during the whole bus train phase. They're like, no, we'll walk. But they did, and that's an excellent point that you just brought up. But it was a different time as well. Right. But I'm
so
saying
because
that
of segregation, because of segregation, and because how hamstrung they had us financially, we ain't have cars.
Right.
So we had to rely on the bus system. That's the most popular thing that we all can think of. We had to rely on the bus system. So when we said, screw it, we will carpool wherever we got to go. We will walk if it means I got to leave 2 hours early to get to work. It worked because we were taking from something that relied on us.
Yeah.
Right? So if we were going to do something similar to that in today's method, I would call it a rolling boycott. Right? Because you don't want to cripple your own people in order to make a point. But it'd be a rolling boycott, for example. So we would say, you know what? For 3 months, none of us, now you're never going to get 100%.
Nope.
Let's go ahead and put it out there. But you're going to say, none of us, or if you can get organized, and now you just have a really large group across the country, so all of them can see all of us, or none of us, are going to shop at Walmart or Amazon for 90 days. These are our demands. This is what we want to see out of this segments of the business sector, right? We want a DEI, we want more people representative in your C-suite. We want whatever our demands are. We actually have demands, and we say for 90 days, we're not going to give you a penny in any of these two major companies. Now that means we're going to have to shift our money somewhere else, right? So now our money's going to go to, Target, or it's going to go to Dollar General, or it's going to go. So it's still going into a larger, white America's pocket. But that's not the point, because we're not at war with white America. We're at war with this political system. So you move the money over there for 90 days, because any company can survive 30 days of any boycott.
Yeah.
Won't even notice it happen.
They be like, what happened?
90 days won't hurt these two companies that I named because they're so huge, but it will definitely get their attention. Then if you get your concessions, boom, you go back to what you were doing. If you don't get your concessions, you say, okay, so that was the first 90 days. We're going to flip the switch. We're not worried about them two. Now it's going to be Target. And you name 3 or 4 or 5 more, right? So you can go back to shopping at Walmart now, because, they're usually in the communities where a lot of our people don't have a lot of options. So you can't keep hurting yourself to make a point. So, okay, you can go back there, but now we're going to target these.
Yeah.
You can do something like that, and that will harken back to what we did in the 50s. It'll get the attention that you're trying to do, and it'll go after the money. You can do that at the same time that you get with other people, and you say, you know what, hey, all you third-party voters out there and your non-voters out there and stuff like that, let's get together and we can go and figure out what candidates specifically, or we'll float our own, can get some of the issues and advocate for some of the issues we're most passionate about, and we're only going to back them. And then push it that way. We got to hit it on so many
you got to go on one level. But I was just using that as an example of, you mess with people's money, they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
When that bonus check ain't coming.
All right, y'all. One last video for our.
Sorry, Marlon.
We well past our break.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. But
I said sorry, Marlon.
But it's so good. That's why I didn't say anything. It's so good. The last one, the Supreme Court blocking the president's student debt forgiveness. But like I said at the beginning of this show, there's a caveat, not even a caveat, it's kind of a surprise that I don't have enough information on it, but if it does go the way it's supposed to go, it's actually kind of good news. But I just don't have enough. They haven't given enough. So I'm going to be specific. Don't look at me like Marlon didn't do enough research. They're not releasing enough information out there yet. And I even know the reason why they're not even releasing enough information about it. So let's go ahead and get into that.
Hey, Carl. Well, we now have gotten the Supreme Court ruling when it does come to student loans. The court has struck down a Biden administration program that would have offered individual borrowers up to $20,000 of student loan forgiveness. They have found that Biden did not have the standing under a 2020 COVID-era law to give that sort of forgiveness. This obviously is going to have a huge impact on retail. We're talking about 40 million borrowers who would have seen some sort of forgiveness from this, either partial or full. And those borrowers, they're going to have to take another look at their budgets. This means less money for clothes, for electronics, for eating out. JP Morgan estimates that this could have about $10 billion of headwinds on retail. And remember, too, it's not just this Supreme Court case that borrowers have to look at. They haven't had to make any sort of payments on their student loans since March of 2020 because of COVID. But those payments are going to re-begin now in October. And that means yet another hit for borrowers and then subsequently another hit for retail. Now, the Biden administration is trying to provide some sort of relief to borrowers. They've talked about a 3-month grace period, and they have proposed a plan that would basically tie student borrowers' repayments to their income. So borrowers wouldn't pay more than 5% of their discretionary income under this proposed plan. But definitely a big ruling from SCOTUS, a big hit to the Biden administration, to student borrowers, and to retail.
Emily, do we know if there's any grace period in here that is allowed for these payments?
So for this, it really just deals with the actual forgiveness of the loans. The repayments is on a bit of a different track, but it's obviously very much related to the retail market and the impact it's going to have. So student borrowers still have a couple months where they do not yet have to make payments on their loans, but when they do in October, they're not going to see their loans shrink any. That's what this plan would have done, and the Supreme Court has now effectively ended it.
Okay, let me say this real quick before we get into a big long brouhaha that'll take us into Monday. Here's the deal, and I'm telling you and I'm explaining to you how I took it. Okay, not rules and regulations or anything like that. It's not something I saw or something like that. It's how I took it. Here's the deal: is that plan that Biden gave to the Supreme Court for the student loan release,
the debt forgiveness, we with you.
The debt forgiveness of it was just a first shot. It was a first shot at the Supreme Court to see how they will react to it. So it wasn't literally like they knew this was going to work. They wanted to see what the Supreme Court was going to say about it. In other words, they wanted a blueprint of what the Supreme Court was going to say. Now that they have a blueprint, they have Plan B already set up. And not only do they have Plan B set up, they're going to use the Supreme Court's decision as a blueprint to get this second plan through. Now, part of what she was saying was true. One of the things was they was going to go by your income. So it wasn't going to be a set amount that you have to pay. You have to pay this set amount, period, no matter what. It was going to go, one of the plans was it was going to go by how much money you make per year is based on your payments. Or was it? Because like I said, not enough of the information has been going out. So that's why I said Biden been in this game for a long time. So when I'll be the first to say, I thought student loan forgiveness was it. It was canceled. Okay, we're done. We're going to move on. No, Biden said, nope. We had a plan for this too. We just need a blueprint. We just need to know what you was going to say and how you was going to say it and how you was going to turn it down. So when the next plan come around, don't turn to us and go, yeah, you can't do that. No. Well, you can't do it because of A, B, and C. No, we actually did A, B, and C. That's literally going by what you said. This is what you said the last time you turned us down. So we did A, B, and C. This is your words, not mine. Again, a lot of this is confusing, and I apologize for it because they're not releasing the information. And that's probably on purpose too. We don't want to give you all you showed us your cards that we tricked you into showing your card, but we're not going to show you our cards yet. Smart move, really. It is a smart move.
Oh, you being so gracious.
Of course it is, because why, Tracy?
This was the wrong act to use student loan debt forgiveness for. There is another act that they could have used, and I think it was passed in 1969, and I cannot think of the name of that act, but it specifically gives the President of the United States unilateral authority to cancel student loan debt without the Senate, without the House. I don't know what the point of using this COVID bill was, because I'm like, this is going to get, I knew it was going to get struck down, because I'm like, this is the wrong avenue. And yeah, it's good to make payments, but you know what? This is going to be, you already had states like Indiana, saying if the student loan debt forgiveness goes through, they're going to tax what you get. They already had planned it. They knew what they were going to do. I'm hoping that Biden uses that act that I'm referring to that I can't think of the name, although I'm questioning why did you use that in the first place, because that's a whole lot clearer than this COVID bill, because I'm like, this is the, and I know nothing about legality, nothing. What I learned about law, I literally watched on Perry Mason. I don't know anything, like nothing. But I'm like, this seems like to me to be the wrong one to use when there's a specific law that says that you can unilaterally do it. You don't need Congress. You don't need Senate. You can just pick up that pen, sign it, and go. But of course, we have a court that makes up their own rules as they go. So who even knows if that's going to work?
Can I ask you something, Tracy?
Yes.
Have you ever played poker?
No.
Okay.
You're going to say you don't play your hands, though. I bet you'll say something like that.
No. In poker, there is a certain thing called a bluff. There are other terms like a tell, where there is something that the one player does where they give off whether they have a good hand or a bad hand. Now, the majority of the game, if you actually look at a poker tournament, a lot of people, that was a good hand. Oh, that was wonderful. But the majority of it is a mindset. In other words, I can have the most terrible hand in the world, but I can look you straight in the eye and go, oh, Tracy, woo, you didn't want this one. I'm one card away from beating the crap out of you. And the one card is dealt to me, and it ain't nowhere near the hand that I want because I didn't have a hand to begin with.
Yeah,
but do I look at you and go,
I get what you're saying.
No, I'm going to look at you and go, and that's the card that I wanted right there, buddy. That's the card I wanted right there. What you gonna do, buddy? If I'm doing all of this and you have no idea what's in my hand, what would you do? Would you fold or would you bet?
I get what you're saying, and I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong so bad because, like that reporter said, there are 40 million of us dealing with a debt we'll probably never, ever pay off. Never. And it's like, this is, people are going to say, oh, you always write against the Democrats. This is like one of the few times I'm like, okay, well, no, I always hope every president is successful, even Trump, but he wasn't. But this is the issue that I'm like, I want you to be successful with it because it helps so many people. If you have to, those student loans will take you out. And not just buying electronics. I'm talking about paying rent, paying mortgage, buying food, getting medicine. I'm talking about just basic life stuff. So yeah, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
My point is.
No, I wouldn't, Susan, because I don't like cards.
My point is that when you're playing this type of game and you have two plans and you know one is the best version, but you're dealing with corruption, you don't give them your best plan. You give them plan B. Plan A is plan B.
Yeah,
but you don't give them plan A. I know that's confusing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I know that's confusing, and I was trying to find a better analogy.
But the situation with student loan debt is so severe. It's so, I mean, people are in need of relief now. Not 6 months from now. Right now, people are in need of relief.
Tracy,
but that's not the reality of life.
Works. We've been saying that for a year. I want my stuff right now. Sorry. No. You can yell it to the top of your lungs until you.
So you're going to tell people, hey, you got to pay that loan?
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Because it takes that long. Yes, I will. And you know what's going to happen when it takes that long? Thank you. If you have not been paying for this long and it's going to take longer, and I'm doing my best to make sure that you still are not paying, and I do get the job done, 6 months to a year from now, you're going to sit there and go, well, thank you, but it took almost 2 years. It took a year and a half.
They will
No.
exactly do that.
That's
Marlon, when you played the video, I already heard you told me I was going to get $2,000 and I got a $1,400 check.
Yeah, because
That's what I heard
no, that was a lie.
immediately.
Yeah, no.
That's what
That was
I
a lie.
heard. Even though you got a
That's the act I'm
$600
talking
check
about.
and then you got a $1,400 check, which by my math is $2,000. But either way, what I heard was that because people don't give you the benefit of the doubt for anything, and they don't want to. They say they want better politicians to do X, Y, and Z, but they don't want the process that goes with it. Okay, so what did they do when Biden didn't have his whole team out in front on the railroad strike? And I was one of them. I didn't like it. I was not in agreement with y'all. I was in a different position from y'all. But still, people were like, no, he needs to be, and he hates unions, and But you don't do everything in the light of day. You don't, depending upon who you have to negotiate with, depending upon the stakes that are at hand, depending upon so many factors, it depends on whether you shame somebody in public, or you work with them behind the scenes, or you call somebody else in, or right. So what did he do? He took it off of the main stage, took it backstage, got it done. The union said, thank you. There we go. We had the debt ceiling dumbassery that was happening. People said, why aren't you out there embarrassing the Republicans? You should be out there screaming and yelling from the rafters. But the man's been in Congress for 40 years. He knows exactly how it works over there. So what did he do? He said what he had to say in public, but for the most part, he kept that shit behind closed doors. And then next thing you knew, he screwed the Republicans over on even what they thought they were going to get. So I'm not saying that he's like this wonderful thing. I am saying that the work ain't quite done yet just because we can't see it happening. So if he's able to get something, great. If he can't, well, let's get a better politician in there who can next go round. Because the reality of the situation is no one owes us relief. I'm in the ballpark, man. I sent my paperwork in and said, hey, can you please forgive mine too? I sent it in because this show will help me and my family not to have to pay that junk. But no one owes that to me. So go do the work. Please come through because we need it. But it ain't something. I went to school. I did. I had bad situations. I mean, I actually went in a time where the loans weren't as predatory as they are now.
Yeah, they are extremely predatory.
Right? But still, the argument still exists. You went, right? You signed on that paperwork. It was a jacked up deal. They had you over a barrel. It was get an education or not get an education. So they screwed you every which way. I am in full agreement with there. That's why we need to fix what's happening with student loans. Because see what this thing does, this relief thing that we're all worried about, it doesn't fix anything.
No, now I agree with you there.
The students are still getting beat up every time they try to go to school. It's now $100,000 to go to college when it was just what, $50,000 20 years ago. So it's doubled in 20 years, and it's going to double again in probably the next 10. So something has to give. I'm just saying we need to really get a little bit better at what we're mad at, so that we're mad at the right things, so we can push for the right things. So I'm like, hey, let's see what happens with this. I hope he does come through, like Tracy said, because people really do need it.
Yeah,
but no one's entitled to it.
And the deal is,
but corporations are entitled to the relief.
No, that's a false argument.
No, that's
You're making a false argument.
That's not a false argument.
It is a false argument.
How
you
is that
said
a false argument?
no. You said because it's raining over here, we shouldn't have sunshine over there. The hell does that mean?
Tracy,
I'm saying that.
Let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way.
So y'all okay with corporate
No, see, you're doing that right there.
Tracy,
Another
that's
false
not what I'm
argument.
saying. Tracy, this is
You
what
don't argue in good
point
faith.
is.
If
I
you were,
agree with you wholeheartedly that this needs to happen. I 100% agree with you wholeheartedly. But you got a house now.
True.
You're finna move into that house.
True.
You know how long it took you to sit at that table and sign document after document after document after document. I did it. Well, it's been a while, but I know I was sitting here going, "Damn it! Why do I keep having to sign all this crap?" So I know how long it took.
and did you read every line?
God
Did you digest
forbid.
every word?
God forbid that I don't want none of this to happen. I'm just making a point that if you go for foreclosure, you can't run and go, "This is the country we stay in, and this is bad, and they need to forgive my mortgage."
Okay,
I'm
Joe
sorry, what?
Manchin. You making the same argument Joe Manchin is making.
No, we're not.
No,
What
we're
you're
not.
doing is making the same argument that a Republican makes. You are talking
No.
mighty Republican-y right now. So it's like, okay,
No,
if I don't agree with your specific point, you will create a straw man and say, well, look over there.
Yes,
Right? So
absolutely
if
not.
you're not a
I'm for
no, that's
student
what you
loan
did.
debt
That's what you
relief.
did.
That is not a
That's
fair
exactly
argument.
what you did.
No,
You created a
no.
straw man argument and said, look
I'm
over
gonna keep
there.
on shaking my head no because I disagree.
It doesn't matter because I know I'm right. And anybody who's
No,
watching
I
knows
know
I'm right.
I'm
You can
right.
shake your head all
let
day
me
long.
rephrase it
You
a
did it.
different way. Let me rephrase it a different way, Tracy.
It's
Let me
just,
rephrase it a
well,
different
let the
way.
corporations get their money.
Wait a minute.
When
But Tracy,
Who said that?
the corporation existed. This is not a trick. You was not tricked into signing those papers.
I agree. I absolutely agree
So
with
that
you.
is you, but you can't come back and go, but them corporations are getting rich on it. Yes, they were. You knew they were. They was getting rich.
This is a bad.
That's
This is a
the argument
terrible
you're making is a good argument against how America does capitalism. And that's a wonderful debate to get into because it's crooked, it's foul, it's predatory, it breaks people, it turns people into commodities.
But I'm gonna say this one point. I'm gonna say this one point, and then I'm done. Walmart, the largest retailer in the United States today, 2/3 of their employees qualify for Medicaid. Walmart encourages their employees to apply for Medicaid. They do it all the time because I know people that work at Walmart that got the big signs in the break room. My point is, why does our government give Walmart subsidies? Why? Give the American people subsidies. That's all I'm really saying. That's the core at what
I get
saying.
it, but the way you prefaced your argument was you twisted mine. So if you're actually asking that particular question you just did, I'd be happy to go down that path because it goes into one of the things we agree on, right? America has commoditized everybody, right? From birth, we're commoditized. How much value do you add to the American economic system? And based on how much value you add is how much concern and care we will give you. So when we're running into a situation where, oh no, the banks are running out of money. Well, what do the banks do? The banks help stabilize the overall economy. The banks make sure that our imaginary economic system is moving. The banks make sure that the lobbyists get the money flowing on Capitol Hill. The banks do all of these things that are self-serving to the political class and to other wealthy people. So they're going to go ahead and socialize the hell out of anything that's bad happening to the bank and the corporations. Right. But on the other side, why is it that we had to fight so hard for COVID relief? And the COVID relief was a joke anyway. Like you give somebody $1,200 one time and that's supposed to help them for the year? Are you kidding me?
No, because
right?
you'll buy drugs with that money, says Joe Manchin.
Says Joe Manchin. But what I'm saying is I'm getting at your underlying point. The reason why they do it one way and not the other way is because poor people don't make money. Poor people don't have lobbyists. Poor people can't affect what makes it matter for my wealthy family, right? But rich people can. Rich people finance my campaigns. Rich people put my kids through private school. Rich people make sure I can take private jet trips when I'm a Supreme Court justice. Rich, you see what I'm saying? So that's why. When you ask why, that's why. So it's, but it's not the same as saying that if I vote over here, I'm also saying that. That's a similar argument, which is why I don't say this to you. It's a similar argument to when people say you vote third party, you're voting for a Republican. It's similar. You're taking something that's weakly related, like if you stretch real hard, but it's not true because the reality is I voted for a third party candidate. I never was going to vote for your candidate, so I didn't take a vote from him. I voted for who I wanted to vote for. Right? Isn't that the case for a third party?
I have a totally different argument, Theus. I literally, and mine is short and sweet to the point because we need to go ahead and.
Yeah, I don't know how to do short. Sorry.
I know. You don't. You never do. Tracy, take your whole argument that you said. I agree with literally everything you said. Word for word. Not define absolutely nothing. There is no but, there is no however, there is no but. If you look on the other side, nothing. I will agree with every word that you said. You take that argument and you put it in somebody else that said the exact same thing as they walking through the doors of Walmart.
That's true.
That's the issue that I have.
Yeah, because we don't have, I mean,
you literally have an argument against the institution that you're funding. That's why I keep saying that you know what the issue is, and still you fund it. The people who Amazon have workers that's going around and they're burning up in warehouses.
You do.
Yeah, I agree. But
bathrooms and everything else.
What's my
Wait a
choice?
minute.
Kroger.
They got candles on. They got candles on sale.
They don't treat their workers right. Publix.
I agree.
They don't treat. What corporation? Large
Tracy,
retail corporation treats their workers right.
My argument
but Tracy, that's a very good point.
You know all these arguments, but at the same time you're funding the argument. The people who sit there saying that they complain about Amazon and their workers and being underpaid and using the bathroom in a bottle because they can't pull over because they got to get the delivery done are the same people who are saying all these things as they're on the Amazon website trying to get the cheapest candle that they can possibly get because they got a party going on.
They do.
What choices do they have? I'm asking.
All right, so if you wait, Marlon, please. Amazon, there's nothing that says you have to order from Amazon.
That's true.
Absolutely nothing. Walmart, you don't have to shop at Walmart. Even if you're in a community that doesn't have but one Walmart, there are other little small things all over the place. There's always a little rinky-dink gas station. There's always a rinky-dink grocery store. There's always a rinky-dink Dollar General. Look, you have other choices. It's just they're not as convenient or palatable. So Walmart makes bad things more accessible.
Right.
So me personally, I haven't shopped at a Walmart in 5 years at minimum. Okay. So you can do it if you decide that's what you want to do. If all you want to do is just complain, then just complain and say that's what you're doing. But when people say that I'm against this, okay. I'm against this, okay. I'm against this. Okay. Well, then do that. No, I'm against that too. Okay. Where do you shop? Same place I said I was against.
And I can answer your question, Tracy. What alternatives do these people have by not shopping at Walmart? If they don't shop at Walmart, what alternative do they have? It was very simple 20, 30 years ago.
It sure was.
It was the businesses that Walmart put out
Out
of
of
business.
business. That's my point.
That was the
Yeah,
alternative that you
But you
had
can't go back there.
because Walmart was bigger and Walmart was
Yeah, I
cheaper and
would love to
Walmart can
shop
employ
as
more
a
people.
co-op.
You decided to go to Walmart. Now you complain about Walmart when you really had an alternative that you eliminated. You eliminate again. Take accountability in your actions. You eliminated the alternative. I'm with this on this. At a certain point, you're either going to argue with me and we're going to hold a discussion, or you're going to argue with me and I'm just going to shake my head, yeah, because I'm agreeing with you, but I'm not going to have a counter argument because you brought the argument on. I can't do both. I can't do both. You can't complain about something. You can't complain about an issue that you either help create or you're continuing to feed. I can't hold that argument with you. It's not fair. So at a certain point, I'm just going to go, yeah, you make a good point. So what do you think? Exactly the same way you think. So what should we do? Same thing we should have did 20 years ago. I can't do
But
both.
we can't go back there.
I can't go back. I can't do something like that. It's not fair. It's not even a fair argument. It's one thing.
It kind of goes back to what I said before. Are you willing to do, and I'm not talking about you, Tracy, people out there listening, are you willing to do what it takes to get the change that you say you want? It really comes down to that, right? And if you notice, when I gave out my example of the rolling boycott, what did I do? I said you can go against Walmart, but you can't sustain that because they're integral to too many communities. So you got to eventually you're going to have to pull back and flip to something else. So I get what you're saying, Tracy. But what I'm also saying is we have to function on what is real, right? The ideals that we want, either we didn't, like Marlon said, we didn't fight for that when it was time to fight for that, or we have to be willing to fight for it. And those are your choices, right? You literally cannot go backwards to a time or an opportunity that you've already missed.
And let me answer Parker's just real quick, and then we're going to take a break. Marlon, if this was an actual plan, why would he try the debt relief at the beginning of his presidency when he knew it would get challenged in the courts? He waited 1.5 years to even try. This is literally my opinion. You know that good old thing where we need to hold politicians accountable for their actions and what their statements are? My opinion, this was it. This was holding Biden accountable for that came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And the pressure got to him and he took it back up. Believe me, if we'd have dropped it, he would have dropped it.
Because Biden's loyalty is now and forever has been going all the way to when he first came into Congress with the banks.
Yeah.
He has always sided with the banks. Every
this is
time.
an example of us saying, when we tell you to hold your candidates / your senators, your congressmen, your president, your state legislature, feet over the fire and don't give up until they do what they promise they're going to do. Now, I ain't going to say it's going to always work. Hell, 9 out of 10, it ain't going to work. But my point is, don't let up. It took a year and a half for him hearing this. It took 1.5 years.
This is how politics works.
This is what we wanted. You said you was going to do it. Now you need to put it back on the table because you said you was going to do it, and now we want it. And he put it back on the table. Otherwise, I'm just being totally honest with you. If we would have dropped it, please, this would have never came back up again. Ever.
Nope. But now, and this
well, let me rephrase that.
This is super important, super important, guys. We are heading into the 2024 campaigns, right? We are in the campaign season now.
Right
okay?
now.
So this is what it all comes down to, folks. Right? Because politics is just a big game. It's everybody lying to everybody, trying to see what they can make a promise to or not quite make a promise to, and then walk away from. This is the time. This is the reason why Biden won't let it drop right now, is because it would be devastating
Yeah, he would
to his
absolutely
campaign.
lose.
Right.
So he has to play the game, even if his heart's not in it, because I don't know if it is. I don't know. But even if his heart's not in it, he has to play the game, because he can't risk losing 2-3% of his vote. So that means he has to pander to the black people, pander to the Latino people, pander to the young people. He has to do all of those things. He has to keep all those balls in the air. This is game time. This is where you constantly say, hey, no. You said that you were going to get student debt relief. You know, that little executive order thing, yeah, that was nice, but it didn't work. So keep pushing.
All the time.
Right? Hey, this is the time, because you're going to hear this come up probably the last 6 months. Hey, that John Lewis voting rights bill, where it at? Right? It's gonna get to. They always wait to the end with us, right? Because they just want to make us emotionally come out and vote. But but that's when you're gonna hear it. That's when the press. This is game time.
And this is what the funny thing about it is. And I'm not even taking away. I'm not taking bad things away from the candidate. That's on us too. I'm sorry, folks. The United States is a TikTok nation. We want our stuff in 20 seconds or less, and we want to be able to remember it. So if he even, and Parker, this is for you, even if he did it 90 days into his term, that he got the student relief debt done,
you get no credit.
You wouldn't remember that shit 3.5 years later.
People don't remember COVID.
Or at the very least, you would have remembered it, but you would put the caveat on it. But yeah, that was 3.5 years ago. So yeah, why would he do it? Why would he do it? We just talked about what the Democrats do. Liddell was saying they don't stick their chest out. Yes, they do. We're just not 6 months away from 2024. 2024, you can't shut them up.
Problem.
90 days.
But you made a great point, though.
You can't shut them up. But oh my goodness.
When 2025 comes, then they decide which of their promises they actually want to keep.
I need a new couch.
It happens every time. But the difference is, it's not about what they do after they win. It is important, but we know how the game is played. What's important is what you can make them do in order to get your vote for 2024, right? After they got your vote, they go back to business as usual.
Well, no.
So your concessions always happen right before the election.
Before 2024, you're going to see 6 months of them not shutting the hell up. And I'm not being hyperbole when I say that.
No,
Trust me, they will not shut up.
This is the most important election of our lifetime.
Yeah, 2024, they ain't going to shut up. They have to do 90 days this after the election because they have to give you a false sense of security that you made the right choice.
Kinda.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, they're gonna put
because he'll be the incumbent.
He gave his speech and he went back on everything. He said he didn't even wait to get the oath. He was like, "Oh, got the oath. I ain't doing nothing." I said nothing.
Trump flipped his script the day
of
inauguration day. He took that oath. Said, "Oh no, I ain't doing. No, that's okay."
Well, at the very least, he didn't say the first day he was going to be in office.
No, but
give martial law.
But I think that's a good point that you raised a second ago with Parker, because I still trip on that sometimes. People say they want certain things and they don't mean it. Like we punish our politicians for the wrong things and we reward them for the wrong things.
It's the quarterback.
Biden came into office.
Syndrome. It's the quarterback
in the middle of a plague.
And he barely beat Trump. Let's
He barely beat Trump, right? But that's a whole different thing. That's xenophobia, myopia, whole bunch of things came in to help Trump get through that. and sexism because they couldn't vote for Hillary because she was a woman, and then there's also she's being blamed for her husband, and it's like, because if you really get at people, really real talk, Hillary Clinton, I don't like her. I didn't vote for her. I left the top of the ticket blank. I'm that guy. But here's the thing, and I'm looking backwards at it, and I'm like, but what is it that I really dislike about Hillary Clinton? It was the fact that she made that dumbass statement about the predators, right? But then also that I know the some of the intricacies of Clinton's presidency that wasn't as nice as they say it was, right?
Got that right.
But in that, I'm blaming her for her husband.
Yeah,
I was wrong for
they're
that.
two different politicians. I'm like, well, no,
I agree. But people say that they're against Hillary, but when you really ask them, they don't have anything on her.
Did you blame Clinton or did you blame Holden? The one who was actually Holden, the Attorney General.
Eric
James
Holder.
Comey.
Eric Holder.
Eric Holder.
Are you talking about James Comey?
Coleman.
Yeah,
the guy who announced the thing right at the end of the thing.
Yeah, right at the end. I'm like,
I blame him for what he did, but I mean, that is what really beat her, I think. But the other part that truly got her is the Electoral College. Like, if you really will slow down and look at what beat Hillary Clinton, it wasn't me holding her accountable for Bill Clinton. It wasn't me not voting for her because she called young black people predators. She lost because of the Electoral College. She lost because the same places that have those little pea-brained ideas that are supporting Trump, right? The same one who will vote for Trump because he hates who they hate. Well, they hated her because they can't have a woman in charge.
Right.
The same areas, the same exact freaking areas. So the Electoral College is what beat Hillary. She had way more votes.
Absolutely. And yet they
right, but that's not how our politics works.
Right.
Nope.
All right,
and that's if Biden loses, that's how he'll lose again. Because once it gets to the Midwest, it can flip.
All right, everybody, we gotta stop. We gotta take a break and making another.
Oh, we gotta take a break,
dude.
We like 2 hours in. What are you talking?
Yeah, I'm like
2 hours, almost 2.5 hours into the show.
Right.
And I ate none of my cake.
Poor Mickey is going. I need to reboot.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not even gonna make this a long thing because, as Tracy always want to point out, it's your show. So it is my show. We're going to take a 3-minute break to reboot and refresh, and we'll see everybody on a very short version of Am I the A-Hole and Foxy's videos of the week. Stay tuned.
Living for weekends, wishing I could take a break from this world. Running on a hamster wheel, but searching for something I can't feel. I just wanna be a lost girl and fly. Take a breath, feel my wings spread, levitate above the ground and make eye contact with clouds. Now I'm rising, I'm soaring above it all. I just wanna be free. Finally, finally,
We are back. We are back. Let's go ahead and pay those bills. Please do not forget to go to patreon.com/a better Tracy Media page. Help support Tracy and all her endeavors. Please do not forget to go to patreon.com/complex mind support Diaz and all of his endeavors. Please do not forget to go to patreon.com/a radical truth to power, exactly the way it's spelled, capital R, capital T, capital T, capital P. Help support me and all of my endeavors. Please do not forget to go to Anna Hart's website, borrelia.etc.com. So learn something that you didn't think you need to know, but you should. And as always, if you want to drop me a line, you can do so at radtp@outlook.com. That's radtp@outlook.com. All right, everybody. So at this point in time, we ain't got that many people even watching the show. So this is all for content for the next 2 weeks anyway, because I'm not going to be on tomorrow, and the following week I'm going on vacation. So, yeah, keep it talking.
I ran everybody off? I'm sorry.
No, it's just getting late. Not only does Mickey need to reboot, but she needs to get some sleep. Night's all. Night, Mickey.
No.
Night, Mickey.
First part of the show, though, appreciate the debate and discussion about the serious topics, even if it took 2.5 hours to do so. You know us by now. All righty, let's get to it. Am I the a-hole? This is a different version that I'm trying to bring to the show. The different version of Am I the a-hole is this. There's a thing on Reddit called nice girls versus nice girls. Nice guys versus nice girls. Trust me, the nice guy is not nice. The nice girl is not nice. Here is my challenge to you. Both of these people are a-holes. Let's just get that out there, okay? I'm not even going to debate that. Do not come and go, yeah, he's a a-hole. She's bad. No. Here is my challenge to you all. My challenge to you all is I have a nice guy and I have a nice girl. The challenge is you have to tell me which one of them are the bigger a-hole. We're going to start off with the guy.
I know that we just met, and I know that we're both still learning from each other, and we both have a lot of common interest in what we like and love to do. And we're both science majors and love science so much. But I wanted us to hang out together, learn more about each other. I wanted to take you out to so many lovely places like parks, libraries, virtual reality concerts, gyms, work out together, eat together, play music, games, doing a lot of scientific activities together. And then I was thinking about giving my Hubble G-Skyer Space Telescope to you. Until you said to me straight up out of nowhere that you were already taken by some dude and you have a boyfriend, so yeah. I hear too many freaking girls always bring that up, and they're always with some other guy. So I'm very pissed off, upset, angry, hurt, and disappointed. I was happy to meet you until you said that you've got a dude that you're with. So forget it, and never mind. I hate hearing when you girls always saying that you're taken by some guy. Especially when we have something in common, and I also have something to give you and show you, but I'm disappointed. Have fun with your boyfriend and do whatever you do together. This is bullshit. But it's whatever. Frowny face. Nobody understands me nor spends time with me. It's always something. But I see how it is. Enjoy your life with that dude. Go passionately hug. Suck his d***. Get married. Have kids. And I already know that he's expecting that and you're expecting all that junk too. But it's whatever. Too many girls always bragging and bringing up some stupid boyfriend relationship taken thing. I was so excited to give you something and show you something and bring you my telescope and help you more with science and teach you something that you didn't know about and show you real space stuff that I've captured on my own, and we had something in common, and I bet that he has nothing in common with you like I do. But never mind, you got some stupid boyfriend. So enjoy your life with him. This is bullshit. I was being all nice until you said, I have a boyfriend. Every freaking bad girl always says that, and that's effed up and not cool. Enjoy your life with him. It's whatever. I see how it is. I said that I have a boyfriend because I could tell that you were interested and I didn't want to lead you on. And he reacted with a middle finger emoji. But copy that. Bullet dodged. I have no words. And he reacted to that with a middle finger emoji. Just because you brag about some sucky relationship about you and your stupid boyfriend, I have a boyfriend, nobody effing cares or asked. Plus, I did care about you, and I wanted to get you a space telescope and a lot of scientific stuff I have here. All kinds of experiments, tools, artifacts, and more, but hell to the no. F that. You blew it. And this ghosting BS that you pulled when I said good morning to you pissed me off. And it makes you unworthy and untrustworthy to people. I was also going to give you my $800 radioactive sound wave and HDD Universal Hubble G-Skyer Space Telescope. But no, ask your boyfriend to buy it for you. Wasting my damn time with sucky, stupid people and terrible bad girls bringing up that garbage. I was being nice and saying these nice things at school, all for nothing. So enjoy your stupid life with your damn guy with you. You ain't no real science person, and ain't no real good person, nor not a good friend at all. What a disappointment. I had a nice walk and everything until you effed it all up. Waste of my damn time and everyone's lifetime. Respectfully, you need therapy. I need you to stay the hell away from me on Tuesdays and stop messaging me, which you won't be able to anyway since I'm blocking you. I don't need you, nor do I give an F about your existence, and besides, I do have a car, a Mercedes-Benz. And I don't care about you anyway, and nobody does. Like, why do we even have you here? Yeah, okay. Thanks for the free entertainment the past couple of days, though.
What in the world? I'm not gonna say nothing until you play the lady.
I'm just gonna ask you one question about this guy. At what point during this whole rant that he was having where you went, dude, shut the fuck up? Like, God.
Not long after it started.
Oh my God. Dude, she don't want you.
Yikes! Shut up! She don't want you. Let's move on. But dude,
He sounds dangerous.
I was gonna give her my telescope.
Dangerous.
You were saying dangerous too? Yeah. This
This gives real bad incel vibes. This is why you need to socialize your children, because he doesn't know how to deal with anyone. Period.
And
he wasn't even rejected. This was his whole pet peeve about, I can't even have a straight science talk without a girl telling me that they have a boyfriend.
Maybe
Yeah, he really sounded like an 8-year-old, right? Where you just
don't be
don't
insulting
know.
8-year-olds like that. They did not do
No, I'm
nothing.
serious. No, I'm
No,
dead
I have
serious.
to
He sounded
agree.
like an 8-year-old.
He sounded more like
You know?
a little toddler, like a baby that doesn't get his way.
all right.
Look,
Let's move on. So
we'll see what the girl got to say. She can't be as bad as this.
Depends on how the voice is, because these voices is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna get a little sexual in the middle of it, so just a viewer discretion advised. But I don't know. I'm going back and forth, and I literally have not made a decision. I'm leaving it all up to you for the argument. So here's the girl.
Hey, thanks for everything last night, and I'm really happy that you said that we could still be friends. It's something I'd really like, to continue to be friends. Like those dates that we had, I thought we had such good chemistry. Do you want to have lunch tomorrow?
Hey, nice girl, hope all is well.
I can't have lunch tomorrow. I mentioned last night that I'm flying to the East Coast for 2 weeks to see my family and friends. And yeah, we can be friends like I said, but we just saw each other last night, so that's a pretty quick turnaround, no? Oh right, sorry, I forgot. Lol, it's okay. Be safe, kissy face. Like, have a safe flight, I mean, lol. Text me when you land safely. Flying can be stressful. Sorry, I pocket dialed you. What airline are you flying? I'll be able to track the flight to make sure you're okay. I hope you landed safely. I landed, and it took me a while to get my rental car. Look, I know you came from a good place with your messages, but you really don't have to constantly message me as if we were in a relationship. I need a little bit of space, you know what I mean? I'm just being a nice, caring friend. I appreciate the thoughtfulness, but just the rate of messages you send so frequently is honestly overwhelming me. I really don't want to be mean saying this. I hope you understand. You're like every guy ever on Bumble, gaslighting me, making me feel like I'm crazy. You take advantage of me, I suck your on our second date, and we passionately hugged, and then 1 month later, you throw me away like a piece of trash because you got your fix. You never gave me a chance for a real relationship. Typical. What? We went on like 8 dates, and we really tried to give everything between us a fair chance to see if it would lead anywhere. I never want to take advantage of anybody. I don't know why you're saying this stuff right now. You're full of garbage. You're probably already swiping right on new girls. I feel bad for them. What's so funny is that you're gonna regret breaking up with me. You know how many guys are lining up for me? I can't wait to passionately hug a real man for once. A man who's a real gentleman. Who's that flat-chested B-word in your Instagram story? Is she your girlfriend? Have you been cheating on her? I wonder what she's going to think if I told you that I sucked her boyfriend's dick. You pig. No girl is ever gonna make you feel as good as I made you feel. You're gonna come crawling back to me, you moron. Have fun with your East Coast trash. I honestly dodged a bullet with you. A misogynist who only cares about intercourse is what you are. F you, you gaslighting freak. This is harassment at this point. Stop messaging me. Stop lurking on my social media accounts and following my friends. I'm not gaslighting you. I'm not taking advantage of you. I wasn't cheating on you. You're the only person I went on dates with in a while, and honestly, my experience with you has made me take a break from dating altogether. I hope you find some peace in life and some help.
Stop answering her.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, stop answering these people. Block their numbers. You can block people's numbers. Blocking you blesses me. Stop messaging them. Just stop it.
Blocking you blesses me. All right.
All right, so here's the question. Number one.
Who's worse?
Who's worse?
This is the lesser of two evils argument, straight up. If this is a lesser of two evils argument, this would be it. So we can't vote and say they're both terrible. We got to pick one.
Oh, both of them. I already said that both of them are terrible.
So we have to pick one.
Who's the most terrible?
She slept. How do you sleep with somebody after under 8 dates?
No, second date.
Second.
Well, I thought that was the third. Second was.
Traditionally, third date is sex.
Yeah.
3 dates?
There's a lot that happens between the dates.
Yep.
Where do I live at? I must live in
Indiana.
Of course, nowadays people have,
they don't
before
date.
the date.
Let's not go. That's not best.
I would say the guy. I would say the. I'm gonna assume everything and.
Yeah, because him and his telescope just got on my nerves.
Yeah, all the things that.
Suda chose the girl too, but the guy with the telescope was scary. He's worse. So.
Yeah, because they both had stalkerish behaviors.
They were both terrible. Everybody's
I'm
in
just like, I'm
agreement there.
blaming the people that kept messaging them. I'm blocking you. You can block people on social media. You can block them out your phone. You don't have to never deal with them. Go get. Oh my gosh, people, stop messaging stalkers.
There's
Don't do
even
it.
a way to block their IP address, people.
Exactly. I just had some dude DM me his pictures. I don't want to see you.
Yes, so you have anything?
I can't pick. This is a hard one. This is a hard one.
If I have to pick who's the worst, it's going to be the guy. Maybe you're going to call it sexist or whatever, but I view him to be a physical threat. Just because,
I have to agree.
I mean, women are also physical threats, but the data is on the side that is more often the man who will lash out faster than the woman will. Um, the girl is more of a psychotic. She need, you know, she I hate to say it because it's gonna sound really insensitive, but it's like she really kind of fits somebody who's off their meds type of situation, where there are some levels of control for her, but she's not following them, so she
Right.
flips on a dime, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I've encountered women almost as bad as that once, you know, once or twice in my past. But the guy, I mean, he's
I'm
worse
very sorry.
because he really seems like he would try to hurt her.
Didn't gonna mention he had a Mercedes Benz. What does that got to do with anything?
I'm
It's
trying
the
to.
same thing as her saying that she, you know, shined his top. So I mean, same thing.
Yep.
We got about 50 million analogies about that action. Now we can add shine that top
But
to it.
I almost want to say the one because I put a higher standard to women. Like as a woman, I make women hold to a higher standard. I know I shouldn't, but I do. My gut says two. One is terrible, but I've dealt with so many ones in my life. I'm kind of like, okay. I've dealt with the guys like, I'm just not interested. Well, you ugly anyway. Well, okay, then why did you make a pass? How can I see that? Don't really.
The classics.
That's a old state thing we do.
Yeah. So
We
because
will come on to you. We'll make you feel like you the greatest thing since sliced bread and everything else until you reject us. Now you the ugliest damn thing since
yeah, I'm
mud
like, but I
and
couldn't have been
everything else in the
too
same sentence.
ugly. Was I that? But because for some misogynistic reason, I hold women to a higher standard. I gotta go number two because her texting him at the airport, girl. And why did he text her back? Block
He
these
was.
people's
I can tell
numbers.
you why. In
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
entire life, I think I've blocked two people probably ever. Like it doesn't even occur to me to block
That's the
someone,
first thing I do.
and if I have a direct
Mhm.
connection to you, I'm going to try to deflect it away so that there's a easy off ramp. So I could see it. That would have
Yeah.
probably been the last conversation, that thread that happened. But no, it definitely would have been the last one. That thread that happened. We've been left on red.
I've never blocked anybody.
Oh, it's real
I've
easy. You
literally
don't
have
have
never.
women DMing you on your Facebook pages, sending you pictures.
I
It's
don't.
real easy. I don't know why men think, oh, let me send her pictures. I don't want to see
Because it
you.
works.
It don't work on me.
It doesn't work on you,
You
but you
don't work,
understand the
but
guys who are out there doing that, guys hunt in two methods, right? There's a law of large numbers and then there's a target approach. Okay? So the law of large numbers is you holler at anyone who remotely appeals to you.
right.
And if you shoot your shot at 100, you're gonna get at least 5. That's 5 people. That's a good catch. And then there's the targeted approach, which is when you actually like a particular person, so you figure her out and you maneuver to get as close as possible to her. So both are always in play. So that's why.
Yep,
Make
I
And
make
if women
block.
would stop feeding strays, you wouldn't have as much of it happening.
Ah,
make
yeah,
it
I would have to agree with you there. You are abs 1,000,000% right.
make it a fishing expedition. There is trawling, which is basically the equivalent of you throw a net into the water and
whatever
you
you catch,
grab
what you
whatever
get.
it is that you're going to grab. And you sort it out after you pull that net of a whole bunch of fish in. Then there are fishing. You go to a certain area with a certain pole, with a certain bait, because you try to catch a certain fish. Tracy, what I'm saying is that DM that was to you was the same I
guarantee.
I guarantee you that message that was sent to you was sent to several people that day.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is like
Who
stalker guy. I mean, it happens not all the time, but yeah, I know how to block people.
They do it to my wife. They do it to my daughter.
But y'all never received some random text from a woman. I can make your life happy.
Women don't do that. Not the type of women that would ever think they can have my attention.
And the funny thing about it is because I make it perfectly clear how much I love Foxy and how Foxy is in my life. So I really honestly think nobody would even try.
That doesn't work, Marlon.
Some women shoot their shot. They don't care. They like Mary. What's that?
You literally say that, but I have never had that. See, I can take that both ways. I can say everybody knows that I'm with Foxy, and so you wouldn't even try. Or Marlon, you just not that damn attractive. I can take
Marlon,
it.
No, it's not even a matter of your attractiveness.
Just went challenge accepted.
Yeah, because some women out there desperate in these streets.
The game is different. The game is so much different from men and women. You know, I have led my life by this rule: don't create questions where questions don't exist. That is what I truly believe. Okay, so and I also know I have a weak no reflex from back when I was single. So when you understand that about yourself, I make sure I'm not in environments where I'd have to deal with something like that. Right? I'm not at the bar. I'm not at the club.
A weak node reflex did I hear that right?
A weak no reflex. Right? If you appeal to
say
me
no.
and you come on to me, I'm probably gonna go, oh, okay. Right? So you keep all that at arm's length. I don't have random women around me. That's just not an option.
That lesson that you just said, boy,
because
I mean, everybody's different, but I'm telling you why.
There are certain people you need to literally be direct with. So when somebody's coming out to you and you say I'm flattered, that wasn't a no.
That's not a no. But the point I was making to you, Marlon, is it's not even a matter of attractiveness; it's a matter of availability. So you have much fewer people to have to turn down if you stay away from environments which would make you an option. For example, I consider myself to be at least moderately attractive. I never wear a wedding ring. I haven't worn a wedding ring since I worked for a big box store where we stopped wearing our rings because you can get your finger stuck in the baler and it rip your finger off. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't worn a ring since then.
They have that written in the rules that you cannot wear jewelry.
I knew it was coming too, and it's still. Hey.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though, I make sure I govern myself in a particular way. I don't have to worry about people coming on to me. I don't have to worry about somebody sending me a direct message because my messages are set up in such a way you can't message me unless you're a friend. And I don't add a lot of friends. See what I'm saying? So there's so many things you can do to limit it. And then as a guy, women aren't hunting the same way. Women are hunting more than they used to. Okay. But you have to be in their vicinity for them to do it. Women, on the other hand, man, it's sick. Like just random dudes, you ain't even met them. He just somehow found a way to harass you.
I'd like to know you. Well, I want to know you, Block. I know how to block.
Tracy, I was saying that on a minute.
Take some time maybe before you allow some text or see what I see as a major problem here with the second where the girl was saying, I bet you're already swiping right.
She's following him on social media.
And
She has no self-esteem. She even said, you're just like everybody else on Bumble. Well,
but this,
stop,
did we
yeah, I
honey,
not,
don't
stop
even know
shopping
what
for dates
Bumble
online.
is.
That's a
So
dating
did we
app.
not hold this
it's a
conversation
dating.
last night?
Okay.
Did we not hold this conversation last night when we would sit there talking about relationships, a inner workings, like you're in a relationship, you establish as a relationship, but it's like 4 or 5 months, and you're acting like it's 2 years, and you're engaged and you're married. It's like, wait,
No, I
what?
got one better than that. First date. What do you think about getting married? Dude, I just met you.
Tracy,
But you
I
know
don't know
what,
I
Tracy,
don't know
that
your
right there,
last name. I don't even know your
well,
shoe size. What the hell are we talking about?
one
Your
thing I'm gonna
favorite
say there,
color.
man, because I observe how single people talk, and y'all, they're confusing as hell, right? So they're not dating to date, and the traditional differences between men and women are starting to break down. So generally, at least how when I came up, I know back in the day, guys date to date, right? It's it's something for us to do. We like interacting with different women, and then we're also always trying to find a way to get some sex, right? So that was just what we did. We could be dating you for days, weeks, months because it's not a constant thing. Is just dating. If you're my lady, if you're my girlfriend, it will be made clear that you're my lady. And at that point, I'm actually dating you. And you don't got to worry about nobody else unless I'm a cheater. And then, that's a different thing. But there's phases and stages to everything,
Yeah.
right? Everybody that you date doesn't become your girlfriend. Everybody that's your girlfriend doesn't become your fiance. And everybody who's your fiance may or may not become your wife, right? We whittle that stuff down.
Yeah.
Where single people are right now, especially at our age group, is really confusing because the women will say, well, I'm not dating just to waste my time. So now they want to know what your
Yeah,
religious
people want to know.
background is, what kind of job you got,
What's your credit
what
score?
this, what that, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, I just wanted to feed you,
Yeah,
right?
I
I
just
just
want to
wanted
go
to
to the
see,
movies. Dang, girl, sit
right?
down.
I just
Wait a
wanted to
minute.
hang out with you and see you smile and
Let
see
me
if I
stop.
can get in your
Let me stop
pants.
you
That
right
was
there,
my
real
whole plan.
quick. Let me
Well,
stop you
don't
right
say that
there.
second part.
This is
'Cause
what bothers. This is what bothers me. Not you saying it. It's what you said. I'm not dating just to date. I need to know where this going.
date
I need to
one.
know that this, and I have to look at that person and go, so you think you're fine with everything that's right with you?
Well, to
Like,
them, yeah.
yeah. So
They
you
think
don't think there's any changes that need to happen with you for us to move on? I can accept the fact that I may need to make some changes and adjustments in this relationship because of me, but you're already done jumped over. Hell, I'm
she.
good with the way the hell I am. So
Yep, I'm
we need to
perfect.
know where the hell we going with this. Like, wait a minute. You literally have taken
I'm not even
every
talking about.
relationship is a nuance. There's an
I'm not even talking about
adjustment.
you been dating for a while, Marlon. I'm talking about
First date.
like first
I'm not
date.
talking.
First
People
date.
are interviewing each other on their first
What's your
date.
credit score? What's your
You could take this from the first day to 6 weeks. It's still the same equivalent of there's a nuance in every relationship, and you figure it there isn't. So you need to know where this relationship going. Hell, I don't know. Where do you think this relationship is going? Well, I want to get married. Oh, so it's really all because of you. You don't even know my parents' names,
I don't know your
but you need to
last
know
Bruh,
name.
I'm
I don't know if
saying
what
you
you're
like
thinking.
macaroni and cheese. I don't know if you
even
can
what you
barbecue.
saying is yeah, even what you're saying is further out, bro. I'm talking about right now.
First
People
date.
are dating to get married.
They sure are.
That's why they are dating. The end
Yeah.
of the story is, are we going to get married? So when I'm dating you, I'm like, our first date is to figure out if I feel like you could be my next husband or you could be my next wife.
Oh my
We're
God.
skipping all the steps. We're
Yep.
trying to see mathematically, will you fit what I'm trying to build, and that's it, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa.
I don't even know if I
First,
like
find
you
out
or
if you
not.
enjoy each other's company.
Thank you.
I just want to eat my steak.
I just
What
came to
Right?
watch a
talking
movie.
about?
That's all I wanted to do. I ain't trying to marry you.
Parker, one of the absolutely sweetest, loveliest relationships I knew, the guy was old enough to absolutely be her father, somewhere in between her father and grandfather. And they had kids, they stayed together till death did them part.
No, didn't seem like it was too hard, given what you just said.
Oh,
Oh, that was bad.
Tess, you know
That was
what?
bad. That was bad.
Oh,
She
Tess,
was in her 20s, he was in his 60s. They
okay.
had
Anna, don't just ignore him.
a few decades, thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, look, everybody's an
Age is
individual and
not,
everything is unique. Age
yeah,
does matter because we
it
two
does.
different two completely different eras we're coming up in, right?
Mm.
But sometimes you'll find a match. I will never be the one to advocate for a 40-year difference. I at,
No,
here's how I
not
will put it.
I'm just
If
saying,
you
don't be surprised that they can be out there.
They
Okay.
can because
All right, I have to jump in
especially
real
if
quick.
everybody's upfront about what it is that we after. And I'm not saying this is the case for them, but at that kind of an age difference,
Yeah, you are coming
okay,
from
I'm
two
going to
different
make some
generations.
assumptions.
I'm in Generation
One
X,
assumption.
and you in the greatest generation. That might not work.
Yeah. One
Anna, you're gonna
assumption.
be mad at me.
Somebody might have some daddy issues.
You're
Second,
gonna be mad at me on
second
this
issue.
one, Anna. I'm sorry.
Somebody might have a youth interest, not fetish, just an interest.
Mm.
So there's a lot of things that be going on. And so long as everybody's cool with the dynamics of that relationship and it works for those two people,
Do
hey,
you?
more power to you. At least you were both grown. Good luck to you. Right?
Yep.
But I don't even advocate for two young people to get married before they're 25 just because we change too much. Does that mean no one under age 25 should get married? No. I'm saying playing the odds under age 25 is a tough road to hoe, right? Because
Mhm.
you're still adjusting, you're still changing. Now granted, there's a sweet spot because after 25, I think it gets really hard to get married
Sure is.
because now you got more partners in your background, you got more dating
Set your
experience,
ways.
you got more disappointments, you got a lot of scar tissue that you now are taking into the next relationship, and they got scar tissue, and then it just gets complicated the older we get.
Mhm.
60 though, I mean, yo, that's my granddaughter. That would be my granddaughter's age. For me, I I get it though, because like if you go and you want to look at adult movies, I don't know if you go looking for, all right, well I'm 50, let me find some 50-year-old porn. No, you gonna go look at some hot tenders out there. But for your personal life, I don't know. But hey, like I said, you
Here's
really got to walk your own path.
here's the deal. It did work. Anna's been a straight shooter and everything else. That relationship did work. But Anna have to put that relationship as an outlier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, usually
Because
it does.
20 and 60 is not father and daughter.
That's great.
That's grandfather and daughter. It is an outlier. Like, how old? No, that's getting deep.
Anyway, let's just
But I think two is worse.
Not talking about that
For number
particular
two.
relationship.
The point
In
is,
general,
I apologize
is
for laughing out loud. But when you said "to death do you part" and you said that the dude was 60, I'm like,
At least I'm not the only one that was inappropriate.
Hey.
Because I was inappropriate.
You was
Oh,
inappropriate.
whatchamacallit,
And
he
I
gonna
know
be
I
a
was
daddy for the
inappropriate.
7th time. He's what, 84? Okay.
So,
but I mean, I also have
the
similar
funny thing
views
about
about,
it is the
having
reason I even
children when
put
you're
your
really old
definition
too.
as an
So I mean,
outlier,
hey, each
the
your own.
definition that I even put as an outlier, because there is a story of there is a lady who owns a rental home for people who are moving into that small town. And she hires a driver. And the driver, the owner of the building has somebody that's coming into town that's going to live in that town. She sends the driver to pick her up from the train station. So you know this is an old story.
I'm trying to figure out where you going, bro. Go ahead.
No. I'm just pointing to the direction of an outline.
Is the lady in the car also known as Miss Daisy?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
The owner of the building sends her driver, who is a male, to pick up a female to come to the building to stay. They dated.
Does she go by the nickname Madam?
How the hell would I even know this?
Well, Morgan Freeman was in the movie, right?
We're going by a movie.
Was the driver black? That's
I have no idea, because that's not even a part
Apparently,
of the story.
we're not supposed to ask no more questions.
Nobody cares. The point of the story was they known each
Nobody
other.
cared about the driver? That's really tacky.
Yeah, you're gonna hire him and then, well, we don't care about you. Do what I say.
It was Tracy.
These people are being
The
rude,
point of
man.
the story was that they knew each other for 2 weeks. And they got married. They stayed together for years, had kids and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I do not recommend that you marry somebody after 2 weeks of knowing them, especially somebody that you picked up from a train station.
I knew people who did that too.
And so that's what I was saying was
Not a train station.
there are relationships that people hear and they go, oh, that could happen to me. No, you're an outlier. It could happen, but you're like in the less than 1% version of what everybody else is doing. You're the outlier because anybody else that would do a situation like that don't last. Don't really last very long. And there's more of them than the one that worked out. Now, let me bring these two people back on so they can try to figure out what damn movie I'm trying to describe instead of a story.
So you're saying
who is the
not
director
to
of the movie?
date someone you met at a train station.
Yeah.
Not to marry someone you met at a train station.
Actually,
Okay.
it wasn't even that.
So what about a bus station?
Just met at the train.
Your job was to pick her up from the train station.
He did pick her up.
He did his job. And then he decided, hey,
do more.
So Marlon is saying, folks, stay away from train stations.
Foxy's videos of the week. Funny thing about this is this will really help me out because the 2 videos that I was going to show, I know it's going to get into a long conversation and I don't want to get into it because we're already into Sunday. Again. But I've had, Tracy, you don't know this, I've had a very long emotional day, like coming from a funeral again. So I'm drained. I'm drained physically. I'm drained emotionally. So I'm tired.
I'm sorry I haven't made it easy for you, my brother, and that you've had to censor me and Tracy multiple times in today's.
Tracy, like, why you threw me under the bus?
Well, he has censored you a couple times.
That was a look.
I censored you once. That's not a couple of times.
The other times you told us stop talking.
And you did stop talking.
He did say if I stop talking though.
And you didn't.
So why
you
you
still
keep
censored
telling
it?
No, telling you don't do it is not the same as if you still do it. Anyway, I don't know if I showed this video or a version of this video before.
Okay.
In case you don't know, there is a certain sound in my generation, in Thea's generation, in Tracy's generation, and I don't know if it's in your generation, but if it is, I know the hell it ain't in Parker's generation. There's a certain sound that still make us cringe.
There is only one sound in this entire world that will forever separate the old generation from the new one. For when the new generation hears it, they'll have no idea what we're talking about. But when the old generation hears it, we cringe. For we know the struggle we had to endure, that the new generation will never have to. So here is the one sound that will forever separate our generations.
I already knew what it was gonna be.
AOL.
I
Oh
was like,
my gosh.
AOL. Mm-hmm.
You couldn't be on the phone and use the internet at the same time. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, y'all old.
Or never mind. I'm not even gonna share that story. Yeah, okay.
Now you making everybody want to hear the story.
You don't want to hear the story.
I remember something, and nobody remembers this. Surprisingly, I'm surprised nobody remembers this. AOL had first of all, for the people who really don't understand how this worked, we actually had physical CDs.
Disc. Yep, CDs.
Yeah, discs that we had to put in our computer to get internet. AOL came up with a concept of putting music over the dial-up tone. So you didn't hear the dial-up tone, you hear
Who uses AOL anymore?
I have absolutely no idea.
Do they even exist
Are they still in business?
They still do exist. They still do exist.
Really? Wow.
I don't know anybody that uses it.
They got acquired by somebody. I don't remember who it was.
Probably Google.
No.
No, I think it was Yahoo.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't know what that sound is, but it's just cause I've heard it in an old movie or TV.
Yeah.
Oh, baby mom.
Yeah, that's all right. Parker's at that age where he's like, I think I've heard that song before. They play it in the grocery store, don't they? And that's like the song that was like hidden when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Yep, some of the songs we sing literally make no sense. I'm like, why did we sing that?
Yeah. Our parents hated the song, thought it was so terrible, and now it's played in the grocery store.
But every generation,
yep,
that.
Nothing
like
new.
you have to remember that Frank Sinatra was
a mobster.
And he was a mobster, but Frank Sinatra allegedly he was a mobster. But Frank Sinatra was up there. You also got to remember that the people that was before him that was singing thought he was terrible for the generation. So every generation, every legend had somebody who had a legend who hated their generation.
That's why conservatism is stupid. It doesn't hold up against the test of time. Never has, never will.
Never will.
Now, unchecked liberalism is a problem too, but
yeah. Anyway.
Y'all, they got folks out here now trying to recreate Footloose for the 2020s.
It's a musical now.
Now I'm talking about like real life. You know, don't let the children dance and sing. It'll make them gay.
Was that Footloose?
Yes, that was the whole plot of Footloose. They didn't want dancing in the school. Not the gay part, but they didn't want dancing.
It wasn't the gay part, but it was about them just becoming just way too worldly and losing their whatever.
Plot twist. Oh.
I can say he was probably singing "Fly to the Moon" while he was robbing somebody.
Allegedly.
And I don't even think he was a mobster. I just think
the
story was he had connections.
He had very strong mob ties.
Yeah, he
had
very strong
He
connections.
had friends, you know. Friends.
He had friends.
You
It's
didn't
good
want
to
to
have
cross him?
friends.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anna. I'm sorry, Anna. He had acquaintance.
Yes.
Like Trump. Trump isn't in the mob, but he sure has some mob-like tendencies.
You're super persistent.
What? What's that?
No, I'm tired.
I know.
That's as much as I
Last,
can.
yeah, I know. Last video of the night. So if everybody's upset with Biden, everybody's upset with Biden.
Hey, what'd it do?
Come outside. I'm outside.
Is this about the student loans?
Yes.
Oh, see what had happened.
No, that is exactly what
the
it's about.
The Supreme Court ain't got nothing to do with
You
me.
were supposed to fix this, Joseph.
I can put something on it.
No, the 10,000 or 20,000 was putting something on it, and that wasn't even enough.
Look, you got to make it enough. I said I'm trying. Sorry.
See,
you're breaking up.
This motherfucker.
Yeah, you gotta screen your calls better, Joe.
First of all, he's not that coherent. I mean, come on. Now they done just went all the way back on that one.
What do you mean he's not that coherent?
What? What you mean?
I I'm starting to wonder. I'm like, nah.
They literally do this to every president, and Tracy's just falling.
I never did that to Obama, and you know I'm not an Obama fan.
You couldn't do it with Obama.
All of the faux pas. Oh my God, there he's not that bright.
Nah,
something's wrong with him. They done did that.
It ain't even about the faux pas, bro. It's just a matter of people don't have enough concrete things to hold against him other than the fact that he's old as hell. So they make little side jabs at him being old.
That's why I wasn't even paying attention. I never even looked at the video. Biden failed.
Well, I mean, I trip over air. I'm not going to
He tripped over a sandbag.
Flight of train steps with damn toilet paper stuck to his feet. Fuck you. You not gonna sit there and point out one thing without pointing out the other. He walked down a damn ramp like a toddler. And I'm sorry. I'm a grown ass man. It's been a long damn time since I needed two hands to pick up a glass of water to drink it. So yeah, y'all can miss me. Y'all point out stuff that you decide who you like.
I needed two hands this morning. Yeah.
Yes. Trump don't have Borrelia.
True.
Thank you. The big man.
No, I just had to point that out because I just not at all about Tracy. It's just about the whole thing with Biden because like there's a lot of reasons not to like that dude. There's a lot of reasons not to like him, but because right now, like you can't even stack him in good faith. You can't stack him against his counterpart and make a non-lunatic laced argument that they're similar. Like you just can't. Just can't.
And that's what I have an issue with. You can't come to me and go, ha ha ha, Biden is, you don't even trust in your president. You know why that argument never worked on us? We ain't want Biden. You ain't never gonna see me drive around with a damn car with a Biden bumper sticker on it. Let me go a little further, folks. Let me go a little further. Nor will you ever see me repaint my damn car with a Biden picture on it. You will never.
Tracy, you were saying.
What about Biden and Trump's policies have stayed the same? That he is not.
You said the border.
He basically kept like
I didn't say anything yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, we're almost done with this show.
Dang it! Sorry, I do remember going. Wow, he didn't. He didn't even start putting people into place in the post office that might see about DeJoy until recent.
Yeah, it was real recent.
But we all know the reasons for why that didn't go as smoothly as it would. Like what people were comparing was someone who had no regard for processes to someone who does have regard for processes, right? So, like
Okay.
Trump, he couldn't get his people appointed. So, what did he do?
He forced
He just made everybody acting
Yep.
and just put people everywhere, right? Because he has no
Right.
regard for the institution and he's not trying to save the institution. Biden is tasked with a couple of things. One, he has to bring America back to some sense of normalcy. Two, he has to preserve the institution. Three, he has to get some things passed, right? He has three things he has to do, whereas Trump didn't have to do anything. He just had to undo things, right? So there's not a one-to-one argument right there, you know? So it's like we're measuring people against, like, I don't know. We're going with meters and inches. We're not using the same measurement for
we're
people.
measuring everything that Trump did that he did illegally or immorally. And we're figuring that that is the jumping point from this point on for every president from this point on, and that's not fair. And it's not
Because
right.
by definition, that means you're normalizing
Trump
it.
did everything. We pointed out how Trump was unfair, immoral, indecent, and illegal. So the next president that don't do any of those things as quick as Trump did nothing. And that's not fair. Because if you looked at everything before Trump,
I don't think that is.
will we be holding the same conversation? We looked at every president before Trump. Will we be saying the same thing? That it took a while to implement any of these things.
But that goes to my earlier point, Marlon, when I
about
said
the parliament?
that for a lot of people, they just want their own version of a Trump. They want a Trump that works for them.
Right.
So if you can get to that particular point of understanding, then all the arguments in between kind of fall away. Because at the end of the day, they don't want someone to come back and fix the system to more like it was, because the system like it was broken. Right? So they don't want status quo. So what they want is change. What they don't have is a defined plan for what that change would be. They're just going to trust a leader more to their liking to bring the change. And in that particular case, you find yourself on the same side as Trump, just you want your own version. That's why sometimes you'll notice the far left and the far right, somehow they come back together in a lot of cases because neither of them really know what they want. They just know they want radical change because they're sick of the garbage that they're being force fed day in and day out. So they don't think the system can fix itself, which I agree with. So they want someone else to come in and fix it, change it, tear it down, make something new, but don't bother me with having to do anything with it. I want my hero, my gladiator, to get in the ring, beat the other guy, and then make it all right according to my wishes. And to me, that makes you just as dangerous as what we're trying to fight against. Now, but like I said, I also agree the system is irredeemably broken. It needs to be replaced. I just keep challenging people with, do you really want to take the time to identify what that new thing would be and what it will take to have that thing? Because if you go for open revolution and rebellion, then we're going to have utter anarchy and chaos until something comes out of the ashes. If you go with give me my own gladiator, then you become the oppressor. So you want to oppress the people who oppressed you. So now you are literally the same thing. You just wear a different uniform. So it's like there's so much that has to go into it, but people keep swinging so wildly from one extreme to the other, and it's kind of disheartening.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more video, and I'm leaving this completely. This is gonna shock everybody. So, no, Thea's, Anna, nobody says anything. This video is completely for Tracy, giving her the opportunity to say something about it. Tracy, this video is specifically for you. Okay? Yep, everybody muted.
Here you are, baby. Fresh baked pie, just for you. Where did you get this? I baked it from scratch. We don't have an oven. God helped me. Joseph, please. You see how that sounds, Mary?
What can I say? Poking fun at Jesus is funny. Ha ha ha. I mean, but people been doing this pretty much since he came to Earth. What?
No, I just want to give you an opportunity to say your points.
It's something I get real tired of. It's something I really get tired of. It's just like, they're not funny to me. They're just not. They teeter on disrespectful, but hey, I'm supposed to respect everybody's religion. Nobody's supposed to respect mine, so it is what it is.
Okay.
Whoever said you had to respect everybody else's religion?
That's what the left
Not a damn person, but okay.
The left, I'm not talking about nobody on this panel. I'm talking about the left in general.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know how I feel about that one. I figure if you can take shots, you gotta be able to take shots. You know what I'm saying? You know. So I feel you. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. But you know, I am coming from a different point of view. So, you know.
Yeah.
I take it as a version of I can take the joke. That's not going to change my view about Christianity.
I guess I can't take the joke.
No, it's not going to take. It's not. What I was saying was I can take the joke. It's not going to change my views on Christianity. I can take the joke. I've heard the joke before many a times. It's still not going to change, what I believe in. But again, like Thea said, if you go dish it out, you better be able to take it. Not you, Tracy, but in general. Like the whole you're prosecuting us, and I remember the church that was let's go Brandon. Like, okay, you can dish it out. It's funny. Got the videotape of everything. I'm an atheist. You're prosecuting me. Okay, sorry.
Like I said,
I'm an atheist has nothing on a whole church that's sitting there talking about let's go Brandon.
I see. That's where I'm gonna disagree with you.
Well, that brings us to another point, which brings us back to the earlier part of the show as well. And like I said, Tracy, you've heard me say it, but I know I'm not always good at always calling it out consistently. There is a big difference between Christians and the people who masquerade as Christians.
Oh, I don't disagree with that statement.
Oh, I know you don't disagree with that, but I'm saying I don't always make it clear the distinction.
Yeah, I think.
But at the same time, I do say that those who, because everybody claims to be a real Christian, okay? Everybody who claims to be a Christian claims to be a real Christian. I ain't never came across blasphemous Christians who claim to be blasphemous Christians, right? I ain't met them, right? So oftentimes from us in the cheap seats, that's where we sit there and say, well, shouldn't you be cleaning out your own house? People over here using your name all twisted up. But that's not we don't have to do the fighting though, right? It's easy to just say it.
Yeah, because we have a battle on two fronts. I'm literally, I think I've talked about this in the video. I literally fight the left in saying, okay, so you get to make, I don't think I've ever made a joke about any other religion. I don't think I have. I hope I haven't. But yet, and I'll use a certain channel as an example. They respect every other religion except for one. And you can almost guess which one it is. And it's really starting to annoy me where I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to watch independent media no more. Nope. I'm just gonna watch MSNBC.
When you're the dominant group, you do get
a certain religion because it's the most popular religion. It will get the most views.
Yeah, but the way this channel does it, they go all the way left, and it got to the point.
I'm on your side about it. I'm just telling you what the point is. They can't jump on a religion that nobody knows that much about. Christianity has been around for eons.
So has Islam.
So a lot of people no. Again,
But Islam is not in America oppressing people and being active hypocrites.
So you would say that other religions have been around for just
longer.
as long?
Yeah.
They don't know that. I said popularity, not lineage.
Well,
so
that's true too. I can see that.
Yeah.
It's just something that annoys me.
What's in our face here?
About the United States is Christianity that has been the building block of the United States. So of course they're going to jump on something that is more popular, more well known, and a building block, again, quotations, folks, for people who's listening, of the building block of this country. They're not going to pick on Islam and everything else, who could have been a lot longer. Great. They're not going to, nobody is going to study which religion has been here the longest. They know what's the most popular. And in the United States, Christianity is the most popular.
Well, I was just going to say the standpoint of, I mean, it's the dominant culture here, right? I mean, literally.
Yes.
If Christians, and this is truly a statement for all the people who claim to be Christian. If Christians did not assert that their faith should be represented in government and public life, then there would be a lot less pushback. But it is not the case, right? We have special tax treatment. That was done for the Christian church. Other churches get the benefit from it, but it was done for the Christian church. We have many of the laws that were built are built off of Christian morals, as they so-called say. So it's the fact that over the lifetime of America, the hypocrisy of those who are not truly living the faith but want to try to enshrine the faith, putting it onto other people, right? The idea that homosexuality is somehow sinful or immoral, that comes out of a religion. That doesn't come out of just normalcy. That, so all of these things, if not for it being always pushed, then perhaps it would be a different case. But who knows, because we don't live in that world. We live in America where Christianity has been used to oppress, murder, subvert, corrupt, all of these different things. Now, not the trueness of Christianity, but the adherents of Christianity have done these things. So that's why you get a lot of the pushback you get, Tracy. Also because Christianity is they're the big boys, right? They're the biggest on the block. So people always pick at the one in charge. Like how many jokes you see that people pick on Chuck Schumer about? Not very many. Every once in a while they might pick on Mitch McConnell, right? But they're always swinging at Trump and Biden.
And
they're the big boy.
And there is not, and the funny thing about it, Tracy, is it's not even a pushback on things. It's just something that popped in my head when you said. It's not the fact that it's the hypocrisy of Christianity. It's the fact that you just don't even give a damn that it's hypocrisy. It's like,
I think that's an unfair one.
No, I don't. Because the same way that you're basing everything, like I said, off the Old Testament, not realizing that in the Old Testament was the 10 Commandments, and one of those commandments was thou shalt not kill. But you're literally going out of your way to prosecute LGBTQ communities and shoot them in the back of the head execution style. It's like you're literally putting hypocrisy upon hypocrisy, but you're pretending that it's not hypocrisy.
And again, I will just say this. The jokes like that, they get on my nerves. They just do. I'm just like, I would never make a joke
but I heard
about
that joke for so long because I'm still
wouldn't-
laughing at what me and Thea said last night. We was like, when the meme came out, it's like, yeah, Mary pregnant. Oh, y'all having a baby? No, it's from God. And the guy just looked at him and go.
And again, me considers that. I would never make a joke about
You're the more
Islam.
in depth. religions
I would never sit here and say, "Oh, yes, Lord, huh?" I wouldn't do that. I don't get. People are not going to give me that grace. Well, boy, they sure know how to throw it. I'm like, okay.
But see, that's just it. And that's a very good point of again, because and this is why I'm trying to be much better with my wording, and I'm not always that good at it, and I apologize. But there's a big difference between the followers of Christianity and Christianity itself. Huge difference.
You mean a tree is known
Right?
by the fruit it bears?
No, well, that and also, many will say my name and I know them not, right? But it, I'm just saying that we, in casual language, will say Christians, similar to like in casual language, we'll say Black people, or in casual language, we'll say LGBTQIA or LGBTQ or queer, or like we'll do these things in casual because there's no way to ever catch everything.
Yeah.
Right? You can't always, you can't get down to the individual. Because if I sat here and talked about the things that I think are important to the queer community, I'm going to be wrong because there's an entire contingent of them who kind of act against what I think are the interests of the queer community. Or if I'm talking about Christians, you got people who claim to be Christians and they act plumb foolish against what you think Christianity is about. So I get where you're coming from, Tracy. As an individual, this is something that is actually core to your belief system. Is one of the ones I had never sat right in my head because I know where it comes from, but it's core, right? It's like you're touching on the very center of the God, Jesus coming, right? So I get that. I do.
Yep.
But because I don't share your particular perspective, it is funny to me because it ain't mine, right? But that's just like, you remember the Charlie Hebdo situation over in, was it France? When they decided they were going to draw pictures of the Prophet Muhammad, and then somebody went and shot up the place, right?
Yeah.
Because to you, it's funny, but to them, it's a direct attack on something that they believe.
I said, I don't get the grace that other people get. And I don't know.
You do get the grace that other people get. What grace you ain't getting?
I do not get to get on here and crack jokes about Judaism or Islam. I can't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. Let's make it clear.
Okay,
but that's your choice.
Because literally, that was my next question: is do you have jokes about it?
I don't make jokes about people's faith. Period. That's something
that's
I
my point.
Stay far away from.
But wait a minute. But you do make jokes about the Trumpsters, and that's their belief. Like, these aren't just political people. This is their belief.
They're drinking Kool-Aid. That's a whole different thing. They just on that.
You just picked on their belief.
Wait a minute, Tracy. I have to say this. I literally have to say this. In your opinion.
In my opinion, yes.
Okay. So you can't take somebody else's opinion about something and you're being attacked, but you gotta go and attack somebody else's opinion.
That's true. I agree. But I'll say it again. In the left circles, Christians don't get the grace that non-Christians get. And I'm exactly right. I could point to many examples. And it gets
no, you're 100% right. You don't get the same grace. Everybody else gets treated with kid gloves, and the Christians get blamed for everything any other Christian ever does, and they can't do nothing right, and they're all hypocrites, and everything they believe is a fantasy and a fairy tale. That's what is constantly.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Literally said,
right there.
Literally said, but Christians are their fairy tales.
That does.
But finishing my point.
Fairy tales.
But finishing my point.
Imagine
the other problem though is we treat everybody else like they're China dolls, right? We treat everybody else like they're fragile. Ooh, don't say anything about the queer community. Ooh, don't say anything about Black people. Ooh, don't say nothing about the Muslims. Ooh, don't say nothing about. But it's open season on picking on Christians.
It's open season, and it's getting on my nerves. That's why I'm real close to being.
But I'm just saying that's where it's important to get with your people and
say something about.
See where the criticism might be coming from. Is it founded? Why is this happening? What is the history of those who have carried the torch?
Portions are not.
I understand, but once someone starts to react to something It's not going to be a one-to-one situation, right? When we level our, like me, when I level my frustrations against the American government or overall white society in America, there are people who are caught in that net that it doesn't apply to them. But I'm still making the charge because it hasn't been corrected, and those who have the power to correct it are part of those particular groups.
I would contend that there are people speaking up against and saying these people don't represent us. But again,
yes, but that
there's
wasn't
no-
enough for the Muslims. Ask the Muslim. The Muslims said the same thing. They were like, every time somebody does something crazy, you come to us talking about we got to go out and denounce them. Why I gotta do that? You don't make the Christians go out and denounce every time somebody do something crazy.
And they should be.
You went and America went out and blew up 2 countries, right? So I mean, before we worry about our feelings I'm not talking about you, but before we worry about getting our feelings hurt, look at what has actually been done to other people. Like the Muslims, for one reason, they're a little more protected here.
Community. It's terrible. We've done some terrible things to the Muslim community.
Right.
Terrible.
So now they deserve some protection. That's why you get some of that.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
that's why you get some of that. Christians have not been attacked like that. Nobody's hunting Christians. Nobody's blowing up Christians. Nobody's firing Christians. Nobody is persecuting Christians. They were doing it to the Muslims. So now they're overcompensating and they're kind of kid gloving it a little bit, but only on the left, because on the right, whoo boy.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, I've stopped watching so much independent media. I'm just like, can't watch you no more, can't watch you. I'm basically down to 2 platforms that I watch, just 2, and that's like, okay, these 2 I'll be happy with. Besides this show.
Fair enough.
All right.
But I'm just saying, I was just giving my perspective on why that is. Like, you can't be the bully and then get mad when people start fighting the bully.
Right.
And and again, we're going to just have to agree to disagree, because I don't think we're all the bullies. Some of us are.
I didn't say all. See, that's just it. You keep trying to make it personal and individualized, but that's not where the attack is coming from.
Then who's the
bully?
I have said many
Christians are bullies in America.
Absolute. We can't do this.
No, it ain't even about absolutes. I'm talking about we mixing individuals and groups.
Absolute.
He was talking about what I said, and what I'm saying is I'm talking about groups, right? Groups don't get the benefit of individuality. Okay, so when they're attacking the group, because the group has been a bully, it rings hollow for the individual to then say, but no, not me. Okay, cool, not you, but all the rest of them then. Right? It's like,
what's the difference what I just said? We cannot deal with absolute. That's why I can't sit there and say, when we're talking about the white community, I don't have time to go, but not everybody. It's just put the word Christianity in it. When I talk about it against the Christianity, I can't sit there, but not all Christians. I'm like, no, we can't deal with absolute.
Yeah, everybody wants to be an individual for the benefit.
When I make a point, you know who I'm talking about. I can't sit there and go, but not everybody, but not everybody, but not everybody, but not everybody. You know who I'm talking about. When I sit here and say the church that said, let's go Brandon, I don't want another church to go, it wasn't my church. Yeah, I know it wasn't your church. We know exactly who the church was that said it. Why?
But one thing that feeds into this, very well, is this is how you radicalize someone. This is how you turn an ally into an enemy. You've heard me say this before in the past, right? So I'm not saying this is where Tracy is, but this is definitely where I've had conversations with certain, white Christian males. I've had a couple of conversations with them where their grievance, they're having their own personal grievance, right? They don't care what their group identity has done to anyone else. Okay, that was bad. I can agree with you that was bad. But me personally, I haven't done anything. So then they start to feed that. And it's like, so now I'm just bad for being a Christian. I'm just bad for being a male. I'm just bad for being white. So all that stuff starts adding up, and they're not taking the time to look at it as, where is this argument coming from? Why am I hearing it? Why is it coming at me this way? That's not how they're doing it. They're taking it individually, and they're saying, you are doing this to me, and this is how I am feeling. And since that's what's happening, human beings don't want to keep feeling that way. So then they start to pull back. They pull back from the areas that they're seeing these things happen. And then they pull back some more. They retreat into safe spaces where people think and act like they do. And then they retreat a little bit more. And now you have Trumps. So this is literally the path that inadvertently, I don't know how to do it any other way, because I mean, I feel like you call a spade, right? But inadvertently, though, if you're not taking the time to be more diligent with your words, which is what I have to get better at, you literally can create the army that you'll have to fight tomorrow. Because you've alienated them and made them feel like what Tracy's feeling. It doesn't matter it's irrational. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make any damn sense on a global scale. As an individual, that shit's real, right? And no one wants to feel that way all the time. So you end up creating that thing that you're going to have to fight later.
Not to fight that. Because I have to really pull it in. I'll be like, you know what? Dang, oh, wait a minute. Let me think about that. So that's all I'm saying. I just don't think jokes like that are funny. I don't. Now, will I make fun of church people? Yes, because I'm one. I feel like, let me be the one that makes the criticism. I'm in the group. Let me do it. I'm in the group.
I understand.
But yeah, I just didn't think it was funny. But of course, everybody's got their sense of humor.
Yep. Like you feel that calling somebody a sucker is.
That's not a bad word. I don't know why people got a problem with me saying that. It's not like I dropped a profanity bomb. Just went.
I don't know what you say. Call what?
I called a person a sucker, and Marlon has a big problem with me saying the word sucker. And I'm like, why?
I still do.
I'm like, it's just the word. I'm not using profane language at all.
No, that's for us to do. But before we even leave this show, of course, we have to do.
Why, yes, I'm an evil left-wing sheeple snowflake working for the deep state here to force your wives to get abortions and then leave you for transgender lesbians. Yes, it was us Antifa that stormed the Capitol to make you all look bad so that we can take your guns, spread communism, and blast Cardi B in your churches. And you're never gonna stop us, 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 you're never gonna stop us.
Oh, don't worry about it. Y'all ain't gonna see me until
Tracy, I left him with you. He was your responsibility. I don't know what is going on.
Who you gonna let host when you on vacation?
Y'all are not even gonna see this tomorrow. Leave me alone. You're not even gonna see me till next week, and then after that, you're not gonna see me for a while. Just tell everybody where they can find you.
You really can't.
This song would never get old for Marlon. No, it's not. You can find Thea's on my shows. But I will say you really do need to go see the series of Thea's Run for Congress. You really do need to look those up. It is really a fascinating show. Tracy, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, tomorrow at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if anybody wants to join me, hint, hint, I am doing a countdown of the 5 worst pizza chains in America. And then Tuesday...
Oh, it's worse? I thought they were just pizza chains.
Who's in the top 5? Oh.
Top 5 worst pizza chains tomorrow. And then Tuesday, we have a returning guest. Ted Rusk is going to be my guest again. So we will ask him more questions about his option for martial law and see how that goes.
That is good as the safety desk, man. Now, tell everybody where they can find you.
We didn't
look at the website,
no
people.
Words in. We so sorry.
BorreliaEtc.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, non-conforming individuals, and of course,
I'm assuming you're legitimate.
That is our show for tonight. I appreciate Theas. I appreciate Tracy. I appreciate, sound like an idiot. I appreciate Anna. And until next time, we will see you when we see you. Peace.
Which will be tomorrow,
Which
8
will be
o'clock p.m.
tomorrow.
Eastern Standard Time.
Maybe.
You know, I'm starting to think Clarence Thomas should really run for president.
Why do you pull this crap out of your butt the last second?
That's like saying Lindsey Graham should run for president. Everybody's gonna hear him.